Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough when mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I know that everyone in here, Stugotz, is bouncing like popcorn because football is back and they're happy that they got their football. And the football was okay. It was okay. I could do without that Steelers game for the rest of my life. I could do, without the Carolina Panthers. If they want to secede from the NFL, that's fine. They can go somewhere else. Denver's been playing a form of that game for 5 years. Bo Nix thrown 42 passes, all of them 2 yards. Get out of here. I don't want to watch you all season. But you know when you get my attention? What do you mean the season hasn't even started yet and the guy's arrested outside the stadium? Like, you got my attention, NFL. It's 3 hours early. I was waiting for 3 hours from now. I'm gonna watch some football. And here's the thing about innocent until proven guilty, because I don't know what happened there. We'll talk to Jeff Darlington and we'll figure out, we'll get some details. But here's the funny thing about innocent until proven guilty in this one situation. If I told you 3 hours before the game, hey, who's gonna get arrested? Any of you guessing Waddle?
Nope.
Like, if you had to guess and be right, not just with the Dolphins, in the league. Like, one guy's gonna get arrested 3 hours before the game. And again, I'm gonna remind you that we don't know the details. And I actually think the more dangerous thing in that situation is short cop on motorcycle. Like, that to me sets off flares. Like, if the police officer is someone I can see when he pulls me over, I'm more scared than if he's someone whose face I cannot see because he's standing. Because that guy, short guy with a gun, that's got administrative leave written all over it.
Really? Is that a rule? I mean,
it's my rule.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's anybody else's rule, but if I can see this is what happened, okay? When you get administrative leave, it's because you didn't have time for the cover-up. There's too much video outside that stadium for us not to see, oh, wait a minute, 4 motorcycle cops, and one of them's really short. Now, Tyreek Hill, I will say, if there were a guy 3 hours before a game that I was profiling, and I'm looking for expensive car and I'm profiling drug dealer, I'm outside a stadium. Most of these guys are going to be athletes. Who's the one that's going to look smaller than the rest? Like, Calais Campbell's going into the stadium. I know that's a football player.
That guy's playing football today.
Tyreek Hill, looks a little small.
Calais Campbell's driving to the stadium in a big truck.
Yeah. It's a really nice car Tyreek had.
Yeah, but to Dan's point, you have no question when you see Calais Campbell that he is indeed a Dolphin and he's playing football in a couple of hours.
That's right.
He was also detained.
Yes,
cuffed,
yes, he was.
For being a teammate, being a good teammate.
And I don't think it's necessary, and this video here is damning, boy. Tyreek Hill on his face, on the ground, chest on the ground. They hit him some, correct, Roy?
Yes. He was complying. He was cuffed. He was standing, and then they hit him.
And was there anything put in his back? Because this is scary, Stugotz. Like this is a scary situation if you see everything that's happening in America, and now you've got your arms locked behind your back, and you don't even think that a crowd of people can save you, because there was a crowd around George Floyd. And I know that's taking it out excessive, but when you've got your hands behind your back and you cannot do anything, and there's the physical force of people whose motives you don't know about, all of that is probably scarier to Tyreek than anything he faced during the football game later when he had 130 yards And it's the first time I get to cover the resilience of a home opener. The team bounces back from an arrest. Tyreek Hill, evidently it was speeding. He can't go anywhere slow. Mm-hmm. So he's speeding outside of the stadium is where this started. And then we'll talk to Jeff Darlington here in a little bit about being the Scheffler, about how he got Schefflered, and now Darlington is the Scheffler reporter.
When an athlete gets arrested, Jeff Darlington will be there. I mean,
that
it's
seems
amazing.
to be what's happening.
Yeah,
Yes, that seems to be how that's going.
Crazy.
I want to throw it out to the room. What from the football weekend, college and pro, was more interesting than a player being arrested from before the game?
That the Falcons, for me at least, the Falcons thought whatever they trotted out there yesterday was better than what Bill Belichick would have done.
The Kendrick Lamar announcement that he's doing halftime at the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
There was a lot going on. There was a lot going on ESPN on Sunday. Just breaking news, big things happening.
Yeah, for me, it was about how good ESPN covered week 1 of the NFL season. They made some changes to NFL Countdown, and I thought they had a really strong show. It felt like some of the news was a little coordinated to get you hyped up, but then things started happening, and on top of that, they had really good produced pieces. Alex Smith had one in particular, and so my most interesting thing that happened before the games kicked off was Drew Bledsoe totally flaming Tony Romo for no apparent reason.
Parcells made the decision to yank me at halftime of a game and throw Romo in there. Really didn't agree with that one. If you're watching this, Romo, you know this is true. The minute that he became the starter, he became pretty big in his own mind. And he was no longer the curious, inquisitive guy. Well, that was the difference between him and Tommy. Tommy became the starter. He still was asking all the questions where all of a sudden Romo was the guy that had all the answers.
Totally unnecessary.
Just took him out. You're not used to that with Bledsoe.
Volunteered it. He was being asked about mentoring Tom Brady, and he's like, well, let me tell you about a bad experience I had. And if he's watching, you know exactly what you did. ESPN had a very strong day. I will say Greeny really shined in that role, really polished host, and he fits with their NFL coverage. Schefter had an all-timer. Hey, by the way, Dak Prescott, biggest contract in the history of the sport. Jamar Chase, maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. Oh, Russell Wilson's inactive, but he's going to be in full uniform. Just news after news after news. And then the Rosenhaus interview. It was a super strong day for ESPN.
Let me, before I get to Billy and Chris here, this was my single favorite part of all of the nonsense around Tyreek Hill. It wasn't just Drew Rosenhaus soaring back into my life. I love Drew for a lot of different reasons. One of them is that on PTI, they once asked him 15 years ago as part of 5 Good Minutes in an interview question, do you have a soul? And he answered it totally seriously, but I just love that they asked the question. Drew Rosenhaus wasn't merely back in our life because he's advocate and spokesman for Tyreek Hill and said purposefully, I'm not here to make any allegations. So he's not going to escalate the situation.
Right.
But my favorite part of all of it is Drew Rosenhaus. Everyone's got a ton of questions. Hey, it's a curious thing. A star wide receiver arrested. Wait, right near the stadium? How can not everyone know that they're wearing his jerseys over there? Like, how do you not know who that is? We saw it by the car. Like, everyone knows who that is. This is my favorite part. Drew Rosenhaus, we've got 1,000 questions for you. You know, civil rights, human decency, racism. He comes out, first of all, Tyreek's going to play. Your fantasy team's fine.
Yeah.
All you actually care about here is in 3 hours, is my bet safe and is Tyreek going to play because I need 100+ yards from him tonight. So right from the bat, Drew comes out and is like, whatever you may be asking yourself, don't worry, he's going to play.
Yeah.
They tell you with opening speeches, make the crowd comfortable with your first things that you say if you want people on your side. Don't know where this is going to escalate to from here, but Tyreek's going to get you $130.
Comforted me. I mean,
comforted everybody.
Yeah. But then he gave us helpful insight. Like, Tyreek is often telling me how much he loves and respects the cops. Mm-hmm. And he was apparently, according to Drew Rosenhaus, in that moment, I don't know why he got such a hostile reaction, because he was telling the cops, I want to be you when I grow up.
Yeah. He told the cop, he doubled down on that, too. That wasn't just a Drew. They came up with that together. because I don't believe that. But I find it hard to believe that Tyreek Hill is going to retire from football and become a police officer. But Drew Rosenhaus put that out there on his ESPN interview. And then the post-game press conference, Tyreek doubled down and he said, you know what? I want to be a police officer. I have a trooper hat.
Huh. He'd be a great one. I mean,
Tyreek gave a great post-game interview from the field. It's just all absurd, and everybody's eyes were locked in on him as soon as he scored, wanting to see the celebration because you knew he'd absolutely do something that'd be held against him if this ever went to court.
The celebration was great.
Can we laugh at that?
Was that on television though, or was it
They
just
cut away, and you had to monitor socials to see it. It felt like the television broadcaster made a decision to kind of cut away as soon as he made it to the end zone, which I don't know why. Maybe they anticipated that, but you got to kind of get that shot if you're the producers.
It's such a good celebration, and I will continue to go around the room asking you what was more interesting from the football weekend than this. But let's hear Drew Rosenhaus say himself how it is that Tyreek Hill wants to be a cop.
The most important thing is Tyreek is okay physically, mentally. He was very distraught about what happened. Tyreek has told me over and over he's a big supporter of police. He was telling the police there, I want to be a police officer in the future. This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
Get the out of here.
Tells me all the time. It's just a regular thing he tells him. What do you want to do next, Tyreek? I want to be a police officer.
Well, I thought he said he wanted to be a porn star. I thought that's something that he has also said.
That's more believable.
Would have been a strange thing to say to the cops.
Well, you could be a police officer in porn, right?
I've seen that several times.
That is correct.
But that's a terrible line to say to a cop when you're getting arrested, right?
Well, I don't think he said it, is what Billy's point is.
But, you know, you're in Rome, Dan. You got to tell the cop, I want to be a cop. You don't tell him you want to be a porn star, you know?
I don't know what was actually said there. Perhaps Jeff Darlington. I don't think any of it was said in Rome.
What in Rome?
None of it was said in Rome.
Definitely Miami Gardens.
Went on university. I mean,
Where were all these cops during Copa America? We could have used them. And I will say, they've got this new fire lane around the stadium that blocks off a lane. Very tricky.
Stugotz, do you realize how absurd it is that the Miami Dolphins season started? Now, keep in mind, Roy lives right near there. I grew up right near there. We're not very far from what this area is. It is not I'm guessing there are not often arrests of any kind made on what passes for a highway in front of that stadium. Like, that's not a place where people are regularly getting arrested.
No.
The idea that you're 3 hours before a game and somebody in the most expensive car you've ever seen, it's 3 hours before. You know what there is nothing else there except a Walgreens and football on Sundays. Like, they'll put Grand Prix there, but it's by itself. This is not a dangerous area. There is nobody wandering around who's going to be harmed by Tyreek Hill.
Dan, we've built it out. There's a Sonic now.
Oh, yeah. And a Walmart.
Well,
there's that strip
right,
mall and nothing else over there. It was supposed to be a carnival. It was supposed to be Wayne Huizenga was going to build the new Disney World over there. It was going to be a huge amusement park. They didn't build anything there. There's nothing there. And this particular street, the only person who's going to be driving through there 3 hours early in an expensive car, it's not going to be a tailgater driving by themselves, is going to be a football player. You are motorcycle cops paid to protect that area, to know something about what your surroundings are. Arresting this particular person and then getting physical with him in a Miami where only in Dade is there for you because everyone's going to videotape it, and doing it all so poorly that you're on administrative leave before anyone can cover it up because everyone's already seen it before these officers get back to their motorcycles.
Do you think if Tyreek was driving around with his helmet on that it could have been avoided?
I just love the guy in the car that stops in the teal, and he's just like he's going to help. Hey! That's Tyreek Hill. What are you doing? You're drunk, guy. You're in a car. We know you have like a roadie in that passenger seat.
I'm going to ask you.
They all have roadies.
No, we don't know that. We don't know that. It's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. and we don't know
Yeah,
that.
the game starts at 1.
I will tell you,
Miami.
Billy and I were in Kansas City, and they started at 5:30 a.m. for an 8 o'clock game.
It's 10 a.m. It's the most absurd thing someone has mentioned this segment. On a football Sunday.
Week
it's
1.
10 a.m.
Honey, it's 10 a.m. I can't drink it.
It's 10 a.m.
That's
One more
last
hour.
call.
Hey, the part that you guys are missing is not drinking at 10 a.m. It's drinking at 10 a.m. in your car.
No, that's the part that you seem to be missing.
Passenger has the roadie, Dan. I'm not saying the guy driving is drinking. I'm saying the passenger has
Put it in
Just
a little
someone
Yeti
there has an
canister.
open container.
Yeah.
Just saving a butte.
Stugotz,
You guys are adorable.
this is what I want people to know about the surrounding areas. Outside of actually on the football field itself, where Tyreek Hill got arrested is the safest place in the world for Tyreek Hill to be to avoid arrest. Like there's no time and place that I could put Tyreek Hill anywhere in the universe except for on the football field inside the stadium, which I'd like to see, by the way. Somebody like subpoena him or something in the huddle, because I think that's coming at some point.
Process server?
Yeah.
Yes, that's coming at some point.
But Dan's completely right, but this is Tyreek Hill that we're talking about. You couldn't put it past him. If anybody could pull this one off,
Yep.
it might be Tyreek Hill.
The placement is what's so amusing to me about it. I'm assuming those motorcycle cops are getting this assignment at least in part because they like to be around football Sundays. Maybe the other cops prefer to watch the game and not be working, so there's some sort of maybe those cops are angry because they have to work instead of being able to be inside the stadium.
If you like football Sundays, wouldn't it stand to reason you would take Sunday off if you're a cop?
Yeah, but you may like football Sundays, but you also, keep in mind, love pulling over rich black guys.
I mean, I think look, the video is obviously damning and they suspended the cop or put the cop on leave, right? But we don't know what happened, right? Like, and it seems like we're just saying Tyreek Hill should be able to do whatever he wants because he's a football player, which is not the message
Well,
that we're trying to
actually,
give.
what I said is player in the entire league most likely to have been arrested would be him just based on general disorganization, messy malfeasance in every part of his life.
Yeah, it's just Tyreek. Like, what situation did you get yourself in now? And I appreciate it in ESPN's coverage. Rex Ryan was there. Like, we don't know what said. It's hard being a cop. And then they kick it over to Randy Moss, who actually, I have experience. I've been arrested before a game. It was just great perspective. It was a perfect storm of coverage for ESPN. Yeah, I laid an egg against Seattle when this happened to me. What?
We got a guy for this.
How? How you have it all figured out, ESPN?
I can't believe, Mike, I don't know if we can play this. I have Tyreek Hill post-game sound, and I'd like to hear from Tyreek on the field in his own words about what happened.
Tyreek, it's been a roller coaster of a day for you, starting on the way to the stadium, a day filled with adversity. How would you just describe your mindset coming into this game today?
You know what, man? So when I left home, I told my wife, I was like, babe, I'm finna go to work, and I'm finna get prepared for my day. Little did I know, that was quite a surprise on the way, man. But you know what? At the end of the day, dog, I got a job to do, and my job is to come inside of this stadium and be great, dog. So,
what did it mean to you for your teammates to join you this morning and show support?
Bro, I love that. I was fired up, dog, to see Jonnu, to see Calais, right there in the heat of the battle with me, man. That goes to show that, man, it's more than about football, dog. Like, the brotherhood that we got outside of just football is amazing, dog, because those dudes were, like, really risking their lives for me. You feel me? So, shout out to Jonnu, shout out Calais, shout out to Drew Brooks, shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to my mom, too. My mom got out the call. Go, South Georgia, you feel me? Shout out to Mon Dukes, too, you feel me?
Tyreek, what happened this morning?
You know what? I'm not gonna comment on any of that, man. Like, whenever stuff come out, we just
best in the nation.
We the best in the nation, man. But look, like I said, I'm not gonna comment on that. We just gonna let bygones be bygones. Move on and learn from it. That's it.
Appreciate the time, Tyreek. Congrats on the win.
This is a Key and Peele sketch.
So good.
The season starts with the star receiver being arrested, and I guess it's surprising, but as soon as I heard it was Tyreek Hill, I was like,
If anybody can do it.
less surprising, and I don't know what happened. I'm gonna guess. I think I can guess this fairly. Can I not? that maybe not, maybe I can't, but that it probably wasn't yes, sir, no, sir, upon arrival at stopping Tyreek Hill when he's trying to get to work, because it's dangerous what he does, and he kind of has to be amped up. And while I wouldn't hit security walking in here with, do you know who I am? One can imagine that an athlete who does what he does as well as he does it might try to explain, hey, I got to get in there. I'm playing today.
Especially when you consider his affinity for policing.
I'm certain he was thinking, like, because eyewitnesses said that he was going a bit fast, and I'm certain he was thinking, well, I could do that around here. Everyone knows who I am, even the cops, right?
I'm imagining when the cops walk up to him, he almost has a smirk on his face because he thinks they're going to recognize him.
Yeah.
So he's
Right.
like, hey,
Yeah.
look who you pulled over.
Where's Jake Paul?
Right.
Who's pranking me?
It's possible this is just a giant misunderstanding because, like, as he's pointed out, he wants to be a police officer. He's going to do that one day. So maybe what happened was that they came and then they didn't follow the procedure exactly. And he's like, no, Mr. Officer, here's the thing. This is the way that we're supposed to handle the situation. I'm an aspiring police officer. And then they didn't like that. And then, one thing led to another and boom.
Right.
Do you think it was yes or no, sir?
Of course not.
It's possible.
I mean, I think their experience with law enforcement is a lot different than ours, and there's often videos of people yes-sirring, no-sirring, and it not mattering with police officials. I will say, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm scared, I'm confused, there's police around, I'd be happy to see Calais Campbell coming out of a car to my defense.
Yes.
Oh, my God. The size of his hands.
And then he ended up on the ground, too, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know how
do you cuff that
I
guy?
don't know how you cuff those wrists.
Do they ask him, can you lay down for us, please? Because we can't do that.
Okay.
By the way, if you were wondering, the thing I was most excited about, the Broncos had 2 safeties yesterday.
Oh, wow.
When does that happen?
Well, you know what?
Football.
It's funny that you say that, Billy, because I fell asleep during the 4:00 games with good reason. Woke up, Denver 5, Seattle 3, and said didn't miss anything. Been not interested in that game for about 10 years.
Yeah. It was one of those math tricks that I was trying to figure out because I didn't see the entire game, but I was doing some prep for God Bless Football, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking through the stats. I'm like, okay, so they scored 20 points, but Bo Nix didn't have any touchdowns. He had a rushing touchdown. How did they get to 20? And then I'm going through, and I'm like, safeties. I didn't even think about it. I'm like, wait a minute, 2 of them? How do you get 2 safeties in a game?
Stugotz, the rookie quarterbacks were all pretty bad yesterday. Bo Nix would not throw the ball downfield. Just worse than Brock Osweiler.
Right.
Like you never see 42 throws for 130 yards, 3-yard average per attempt. That's not what you see in that sport.
No, Caleb wasn't very good, although the Bears won that game. Jaden Daniels was okay. We haven't seen Drake May yet, so I guess the jury is still out. Dan, I was watching the Texans-Colts game with envy. That's what I was doing. Because those 2 quarterbacks, they seem to be the future of the NFL. I guess those 2 along with Patrick Mahomes.
I'd slow
Most
down.
spectacular 9 of 19
Holy
we've
cow.
ever seen.
I'd slow down on Richardson, but we all had the same reaction. What do you mean off the back foot for 70 yards? What?
After a slip.
What? What just happened there? Well, you say after a slip, C.J. Stroud converted a 4th and short, just went down to a knee, got back up, and threw the ball again. Like 4th and short, everybody running after him.
You mentioned all the lackluster quarterback play, particularly from the youngsters, but I would say since 2019, passing is taking a downward trajectory. There's a lot of great defenses in the league. There were 61 touchdown passes in week 1 of 2019, 52 in 2020, 61 in 2021. 51 in 2022, but since then, 37, and this week, headed into Monday night, 33. That's about half of the passing touchdown production since 2019.
But beyond that, though, congratulations, Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Stugotz, for winning a game with 6 field goals. 6 field goals, and how about this? These are 4 great drives. 10 plays, 31 yards. 10 plays, 18 yards.
Oh, I love it.
9 plays, 24 yards. 7 plays, 11 yards. So it's like 4th and short. Well, we're going to get 6 inches, and then we're going to get 11 yards. So constipated.
1-0.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
They played Kirk Cousins.
Took out Kirk Cousins and all his money. Yes. And they're going to be 9-8. You know they are.
Dan Le Batard.
I want to talk about a team that I actually want to see come playoff time. I want to see the Chiefs.
Stugotz.
I want Patrick Mahomes strolling into my stadium with max confidence. I want Travis Kelce. I want Taylor Swift. I want the team that lost to Jordan Love. I want the team that lost to Aiden O'Connell. I want the team that trailed 17-0 to Jake Browning. That is the team that I would like to face in the playoffs. That's the team, indeed, that I would want to face in the playoffs because that team is not very good.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Come on, man.
Stugotz minor penalty, 2 minutes for Chiefs talk.
It was a rejoin.
I'm sorry to do that to you.
Retroactive.
Darlington's here.
Yes.
Most famous reporter in America.
He looks good, too. Man, he looks like cologne. He looks like good hygiene. We'll get to Darlington in a second.
2 minutes?
Yes, 2 minutes. 2-minute penalty. Darlington, if people are getting arrested, Darlington is there. It's weird. I don't understand why it keeps happening.
He needs to get arrested with them.
Yes, you've said that before. You've wanted him to look at me by going to jail with Scheffler and ending up urging the police officer to throw Tyreek Hill and him in the back of the car. He needs to get involved with the arrest. We'll get to that in a second. But yesterday, the Giants, they wore those 1925 throw-up uniforms. They were really unpleasant. And Daniel Jones was terrible. And this stat from ML Football, since signing his $160 million contract with the Giants, Daniel Jones has thrown more touchdown passes to the oppositions than to his own teammates. And people waited outside of the stadium just for him to come out so they could do this to him yesterday.
I need $1 million. I need $1 million. I need $1 million, Daniel. I need $1 million, Danny. I need $1 million. Give me $1
So that's an unpleasant.
Just rude.
It's an unpleasant way to leave work. Can you imagine if we got that after the many bad shows I've had recently? Just walking through the parking garage, exhaust in my face. You suck. Give me $1 million, Dan. I'd hear the same thing said the same way. But let's play that against the other New York hostility of the most famous wailing from the gates of hell that we've ever heard. Jets fans doing it to Tebow.
Tebow, I want you in the second half. I want you to go. Tebow, save us. Tebow, save us. Sanchez, you piece of You suck, Sanchez.
I'm sorry, a terrible mistake by me. That wasn't them booing Tebow.
Longing for him.
That was them booing Sanchez and then giving us the punchline of Tebow, save us, which is a special kind of hell. Jeff Darlington is with us now. ESPN, as Mike Ryan told you, had a hell of a day yesterday. Just came out of the box blazing. And right in the middle of it, near a sweaty Drew Rosenhaus, near an arrested Tyreek Hill, was this dapper stud of a man. Look at him. Look, he looks like television. Darlington, you used to be a newspaper person, but now you look like television. It's appalling.
Full sellout, Dan.
It's annoying.
And I felt very bad for Drew. I was literally distracted during the interview by how much sweat was coming off of his body. And I hope I asked the right questions, even though I really heard very little of what he said because of the sweat.
Is there any reason you couldn't have done that in a cooler place for Drew? He's being a spokesman for Tyreek Hill, and he looks guilty as hell because of the amount that he's sweating.
I don't think it would have mattered. Drew, honest to God, just had run from across the street where Tyreek Hill was detained by police officers on a serious note, like doing his client's work and sprinting back. I don't think an igloo would have kept him from sweating.
He was very sweaty. What can you tell us is the truth here, Jeff? The closest as you can ascertain it, not necessarily based on just what was being said, but what you were reporting.
Well, I can't tell you the entirety of the truth yet because the Miami-Dade Police Department still has not said exactly what led to them pulling over Tyreek Hill. I asked Tyreek last night after the game why he believes they pulled him over. He said speeding, reckless driving, or whatever. That's a pretty broad
I think it's the
stroke.
whatever. I'm going to go ahead.
The whatever.
Yeah, the
It
whatever.
might be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be speeding and or reckless driving, but it's most likely to be just whatever.
Whatever's
Whatever.
playing into account.
But that is the only answer that we need. That we have, the only question we have left. And I mean, obviously, it's disturbing to see anyone face down on the ground in handcuffs. And obviously, there needs to be some justification for that action. We do not know what the justification of that is yet. Certainly, I'm willing to wait for Miami-Dade to release that information. I was just speaking with someone there, a spokesperson, who said once it becomes an internal investigation, it really gets jammed up. I guess I don't envy his job because now he's sitting here like waiting on the investigation. But that being said, I mean, that's a pretty significant question that needs to be answered because, like I said, if you're face down in the road outside of your place of employment in handcuffs, that needs to be justified.
Are you as cynical as me and saying to yourself, if we got to administrative leave before we even got to the cover-up because there were so many cameras there, that is an admission that somebody did something wrong there, even if they're going to – when it happens that fast with a police force, it's an admission before an investigation that's a little bit startling because I think they got caught, right? It's the videos there and you can see what's happening.
Well, honestly, so yes, and like I know this is a very weird comparison to make. I do not make it lightly. I know there was a lot of jokes the fact that I was at Scotty Scheffler's arrest. Like I saw that with my own eyes. Like I recognized what was happening there, and it did not feel right. It felt like it was going too far. I could see what was happening, what was going wrong. So I'm now in this position where, as a reporter, you don't want to take one situation and apply it to another. Everything is unique in its own circumstance, but it certainly does cause me to obviously be like, we need to find out exactly what happened and why it happened. Calais Campbell, a man of the year for the NFL, stopped to try to basically help and figure out what was going on and ended up in handcuffs himself. That needs to be justified in itself. So yes, I am skeptical. And I think it's okay to be skeptical, even though we can also give the disclaimer that we deserve to wait to hear the entire story.
Jeff, you know Calais Campbell. Like this is, and I know anyone can be capable of just about anything, and we can go he said on anything. But Calais Campbell is not, the Calais Campbell I know isn't going in there to fight.
Yeah, but that's not his job. You can't approach a cop when he's arresting someone.
Look, listen, to both of your points, he is a wonderful human, one of the gentlest giants in the world, but the police don't know about the gentle part when he approaches. I am not necessarily defending them. We don't know exactly what happened. I will say, though, this guy is 350 pounds rolling up on a scene. Again, does that merit putting him in handcuffs? I don't think we know yet, but I think we do have to understand from the police's side of this, they don't necessarily know that he is the NFL Man of the Year and a gentle giant. Again, it's almost an uncomfortable thing because, we're talking about a police department and we're talking about the athletes we cover who we know very well. And trying to take the bias out of that can be a little bit tricky.
So Scheffler was detained. Tyreek Hill was let go. What about being there in that moment, that close to not just the stadium, but the team offices and facility? How did that help Tyreek Hill in that situation? Because if he wasn't Tyreek Hill going to his workplace, steps from his facility, he probably does get sent back to a facility.
100%. I 100% believe that Tyreek Hill gets I shouldn't say that. I need to not jump to conclusions based on one circumstance. I will say that Scotty Scheffler had nobody out there representing him, but I was not representing him. I was literally the only person out there. He's turning to me, someone who I've interviewed
Stugotz says
once.
you
I don't
should
cover
have.
golf.
Stugotz says you should have
went to prison with him.
Stugotz says
I
you
have
should
plenty
have
of friends
run into the fray.
Yeah.
Yes, with your microphone, your brush, and all your TV lights. Yes.
Listen, I have plenty of friends who have said that it would have been better for my career
No doubt.
to get arrested. Dan, I'm trying to maintain some journalistic integrity here, albeit as a TV sellout. But the circumstances, like you said, like he only had me out there looking to me saying, "Can you help me?" A reporter from ESPN who interviewed him one time because I just started covering golf. Tyreek Hill had representatives from the organization out there within minutes. People who are trained, not only just representatives, people who are trained literally to handle situations just like this. That is a disturbing fact. Tyreek said it himself. What if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? Scotty Scheffler was out there. There was nobody from the PGA out there. There were literally, I recall a police officer walking me across the street to the edge of the property line at Valhalla, where I turned around and the police officer said to me, "You need to keep going." And I said, "I'm a credentialed member of the media on private property. I'm going to stand right here."
Yes,
and
private property guy. Yeah,
I did it. I was.
Yes,
you did it, Jeff. Next time, get arrested.
I've been saying that since I was a teenager.
I know. I went full. I'm the media. The whole thing. The police officer turned to like an intern out there in a PGA hat and said, "You need to get this guy off the property." And that kid just looks at the police officer and goes, there's nothing I can do here. That's literally what Scotty Scheffler had out there representing him. That's what, and he ended up going to jail.
Mike, if Tyreek
had somebody,
if Tyreek Hill were 6 blocks away, if he were 6 blocks away, he'd still be in jail.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, again.
Well, he would have been
taken. I agree.
Right.
Point taken.
And Darlington still would have been there. I mean,
and Darlington would be reporting from outside of the jail. I don't know what happened to you, Darlington. Like, how is it that you're always around when people are getting arrested in a way? Like, it's not like there are that many arrests in sports that are like this, and you've been right next to both of them.
I don't get that. I mean, listen, when you're in a lot of places, like that's part of the job, things happen. But yeah, I cannot explain it. I literally said to somebody when I got to the stadium yesterday, I said, glad to be covering the NFL where we don't have to deal with arrests. Glad to be off the golf beat where it's constant arrests.
Well, what happened? I want to know because we were trying to get you on back then, and evidently,
yeah, that was a day.
Well, but it sounded like your life kind of got turned upside down. No, I was just curious. It
wasn't that.
No,
it was more that I believed that I am not. I know Stugotz is going to make fun of me, and you probably will too. I just felt in that moment that I said everything that I knew on ESPN. And I felt like in this world that should live as itself, as someone who literally witnessed it. I didn't feel like I needed to go on every talk show. I am not trying to be like, oh, I'm holier than thou journalist. I just felt like it could live in the moment. That's my sincere apologies for not coming on.
You did say you didn't want to make it all about you, and I responded, no, you need to make it all about you.
I think that's exactly what you responded. Yeah,
Chris,
you were one of the people that's of the thousands of texts. You were among the people, like my friends, who were like, "You look like today." That's what a lot of people told me because I didn't get to put my makeup on, TV makeup.
Sure.
That was nice of my friends. You were among those people that I put my phone on silent.
Right.
And just did my job.
Just looking out for you, Jeff. That's all.
Before you get out of here, Jeff, I don't remember Mike Ryan was murky and muddy on the details. I think I owe you, after a lost bet, I don't remember what the lost bet was, that you have to tase me. Did we not agree?
I do.
What was the bet?
We did.
What was the bet, and when are we paying it? Now that I'm free from ESPN's liabilities, we can actually do this.
Was that the reason we didn't do it? I felt like it was just one of those.
Yeah, Dan,
we don't want to do that. But
Jeff is still there.
It was Tom Brady. It was one of the things. Tom Brady going to the Bucs.
I don't remember what the bet was.
It was either Tom Brady leaving the Patriots.
Yes.
I think that was it.
That was it.
That was what it was. Mm-hmm. Or it was me saying Tom Brady was going to go to the Bucs. But I think it was Tom Brady leaving the Patriots.
Okay, I don't think it was either of those things. I
100%.
I owe you it.
Like I don't know. I'm pretending like I don't know. I'm pretending right now like I don't know. It is seared in my brain.
Darlington.
I'm trying to do the thing. You know?
Darlington, do you, after talking to everybody, do you feel? See, here's the difference between like a columnist and a reporter, and you don't want to be holier than thou journalist. I'm not asking Jeff Darlington, the objective, unbiased reporter, about this. I'm asking Jeff Darlington, who has come through journalism in Miami and views the world through the prism that he views it in and knows what happens with cops and black people and Miami. I'm asking you what you think happened here outside of what you're stating objectively.
I go back to my own experience with, which is all I can do, a white golfer, and what I saw the police do with him. It's certainly like not lost on me that this was not a white golfer outside of Hard Rock Stadium. So if that can happen there, I think that, I mean, I'm not naive to the way the world works, but I also refuse to just simply say at this point that there's no, I'm not trying to be the holier than thou. We need to know more. I mean, like, this is not an accusation by any means, but there's pedestrians on that road. How fast was he going? What happened? But I stand on the fact that if you have anybody, black or white, face down on the ground in handcuffs, you have to be justified. It has to be justified. I don't care who you are, who's there to defend you, where it happens, what your job is. You have to be justified to put someone in that position.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you, guys.
It is super weird. You got to admit, it's super weird that Jeff Darlington is in the place where both of these things happen. What's the third thing like this that's happened recently? Is there a third thing? I mean, it's weird for Scotty Scheffler to be arrested on the way to work. It's weird for Tyreek Hill to be arrested right outside of work.
They do usually happen in threes, so we got another one coming.
Yep.
That Jacoby Brissett game you can get out of my life forever, too.
What do you mean?
Just the whole thing. Get it out of here.
It was big.
Get it out of here. Stugotz, you are sold. I haven't looked at any of the numbers. Stugotz has said a number of times here, Burrow, top of the top echelon. But, man, when Chase and Higgins aren't out there, it seems like that happens a bit more than I'm used to seeing happen with his offensive line chased around, taking a bunch of sacks, and next thing you know, you're losing to a Patriots team that's only running the ball. That they're not even doing anything else. Do you see the stat yesterday? The Bengals lost 2 fumbles yesterday.
Yeah.
They lost 2 all of last season.
Crazy.
Like, they lost 2 of them yesterday, and it, like, screwed up the whole game. The Patriots winning that game is asinine.
Jamar Chase did play yesterday. It was odd to see against what most people thought was going to be a bad team. Pretty good defense, but a bad team overall. In the Patriots, Burrow not be able to at least eke out a victory there at home in that spot. But traditionally, I think if you look at when Burrow's healthy, Dan, and that's a big if a lot, obviously, traditionally this team starts off slow. He starts off slow, and they pick it up as the season goes along. But that was a terrible loss yesterday.
Chase didn't play all of preseason, is unhappy with his contract. The whole Dak Prescott thing yesterday made me think that Jerry was just getting all the milked money and press he could get all offseason to get ESPN to just keep talking Cowboys. You give him the contract that makes him the most highly paid player ever. First day, like, you guys already talked that all through. Let's make it a commercial all offseason. Noise is noise, and it's good to have noise around the Cowboys. They signed Dak Prescott.
Right.
To the biggest deal we've seen. Joe Burrow is in this stratosphere where he's being paid like he's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did Chase not play all preseason, he had some sort of food poisoning, was questioning after the game why he didn't have more targets, or actually said, forgive me, that's misstated. When asked about only having 6 targets, said, go ask the coaches. But when those 2 guys don't play, Stugotz, I mean, I'm saying something obvious here. All I'm saying to you is that I hear a lot around Tua and what he wouldn't be if he didn't have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and Burrow's been excellent, but I've seen some of those games when his wide receivers aren't quite right.
Yeah, he's always been blessed with great wide receiver help dating back to LSU. Jamar Chase showed up to the stadium wearing a $1 shirt because he wants $1 more than Justin Jefferson got in his deal. I had no idea it was so touch and go. You mentioned the health thing that he was dealing with, but there was a legitimate shot. He would just decide, I'm just going to hold out starting with this game. So there was high drama. ESPN had its talking points. It felt like the Jerry Jones thing. You were on it, super coordinated, but it got lost in the shuffle from an insane news day. And for Schefter to balance all those spinning plates was incredible. Just really high drama television that was expertly done by them.
I felt bad for Roy because life just got in the way.
Absolutely, Dan.
He couldn't enjoy anything yesterday.
No, it's the birthday party circuit. All of Claire's classmates are now having birthdays during football season, so this is terrible. And I preface by saying this. On Saturday, we thought the party was Saturday. It was actually Sunday. We went to this place. It was an obstacle course with trampolines and everything.
You went there on Saturday?
On Saturday. But it wasn't the day for the party, so we had to leave.
So college football was also ruined by the kids.
Yeah, yes, it was. And then on Sunday, why are we doing this on opening day of the NFL season?
What
Why are we
time?
doing this?
What time? That's important.
Noon.
Oh, that's terrible.
No televisions?
Yeah.
There were televisions, but there were streaming televisions, so they didn't have a regular broadcast television. It kept cutting out. It kept saying, the stream is limited, and it kept cutting out. Like, what's going on here?
Right.
Yeah. Do you have the relationship with your wife to be like, I'm going to skip this one?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Or is your presence just like required and demanded?
Yes, it's demanded.
Why?
Because it's Claire. I'm like, we're doing this for Claire. Or
Right.
in this case, Claire's classmates.
Roy, let me teach you something here.
Thank you, Chris. Go
You
ahead.
know what we do for a living?
What's that, Chris?
Honey, I got to work today.
Yep.
I got to watch the game.
I got to watch. I got to talk about them.
Gotta watch
It's
the
my
game.
job. I need to watch these games.
You know this.
I can't come over for Sunday dinner at your parents' house. I got to prep.
Yep.
This is how this is how I put the HelloFresh on the table.
We have a big one on Monday.
We work Sundays. We've worked Sundays. Valerie knows.
It's a gag.
I should have freedom to do whatever it is that I want inside of my marriage. And frankly, at this point in my life, there are times I would rather be with her, but I do have to know what happened.
This is clearly a two Americas situation.
You know what?
because
I'll talk
this
to
is
a
a different
need.
house that I
I'll
live
talk
in.
to a need.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to work.
I mean, it is work, and I imagine we can negotiate with the need and say, hey, look, Roy's got to work on Sundays. There's more money in it. He needs to not be at birthday parties.
This is not Roy's fault, though. Let's not lose focus on who's to blame here. You cannot schedule your kid's birthday party noon on Sunday opening weekend. You can't do it. You're not my friend if you do.
Somehow the two Americas thing doesn't apply to hockey because you show up at every practice and every game for that.
I don't show up to every practice, but I do show up to every game.
That's where he saves the ass.
If there was a noon Panther game yesterday, are you at the birthday or?
I'm at the game.
I'm kind of with a need on this one then. Like, you made your choice. You chose hockey over football.
Yeah, it worked out for me, didn't it?
Just go with the Chris move and
not
use all of them.
yesterday. You're not. You're at a birthday party, and the football season started, and you're blowing up balloons.
You missed Jacoby Brissett.
The hockey thing worked out for me.
You missed a Steeler drive that was 10 plays and 19 yards.
TJ Watt, how do you do it, man?
So
Well,
good.
that
You're
is crazy.
ridiculous,
That
dude.
is.
How are you better than your brother? I didn't think it was really all that possible to be that much better than your brother when your brother is one of the greatest I've ever seen.
How is it possible that a human being has not been built who is good enough to play right tackle to keep that from leveraging him when he comes on the outside? Why is it that no one can block him?
It's not just that he's always in the backfield. It's that he's always in the backfield making impactful plays. Like, if he sacks you, he's taking the ball with him.
That's right.
Or
Well,
he's knocking
Mike,
it out of your hands. Or he's somehow in the end zone. He's just hugely impactful.
This is what is happening here that I don't have a reference point for, Stugotz. Not Myles Garrett, not Micah Parsons, not anything. Because what Mike is saying is true.
Van Ginkel has this.
Van
I was
Ginkel.
like, how are you always making plays?
Van Ginkel said of
Pick
Daniel
six.
Jones, he just threw it right to me.
That's
Which
what he
is
does.
the tape confirms this.
But he said he didn't.
But Van Ginkel's there. How are you always there?
Put it on the poll, Juju. Van Ginkel, how are you always there? Yes or no? The thing with TJ Watt that Mike is saying that is so true, and I'm legitimately awed while I'm watching this. Okay, everyone knows this person needs to be blocked, right? Everyone knows.
Yeah, it comes up when they prep.
Yeah, we've all practiced for this. Let's put our best man on him. And And then he goes out there, and in a game where his team wins 18-10, it's what Mike's saying. In a league where everyone's getting it out in 2.4 seconds, every damn quarterback seems surprised that he's there already. Like they're dropping back, and he's like, he took the football from me because most guys don't get here that fast.
Every time you watch Pittsburgh, they have 19 points, and he has about 13 of them.
I know.
Best offensive player.
It's nuts. Put it on the poll. Should he win Best Offensive Player of the Year?
Dan Le Batard.
While there's nothing official and conversations are still ongoing.
Was that a fake Schefter? Because it was
pretty good.
It was excellent.
I feel like there's legs. Yeah.
I tried at the beginning and then I lost confidence in it.
Why?
It was good. It was good.
You got
There's
this.
nothing official.
Yeah, it's so
and
good.
Conversations are still ongoing.
Stugotz.
It is trending towards Nick Sirianni remaining the head coach of the Eagles.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I'm with Stugotz. He said during the break, Tyreek Hill should just drive everywhere in full uniform.
Has to.
I think that's the solve to America's policing problem. Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Do we end America's policing problems by having Tyreek Hill just drive to the stadium in full uniform? The Panthers, the Florida Panthers? No, the Carolina Panthers.
Don't do that to me, man.
Oh, my God,
Tease.
the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're right.
oh. My television developed an odor when they were on the red zone. There was a stink in the room. Bryce Young, first pass of the season, intercepted. Do we have a song about Bryce Young?
Give me a second here, a chance to throw my passes straight. My coach is in the back room trying to figure out better plays. Receivers, they've been waiting for me just to throw the ball. My offensive line has been blocking for me better this fall. And I know you drafted me 1 year ago. I know that I'm still throwing picks. And you could have had C.J. Stroud. It's time that you forget that now. You know, I'm trying to be quarterback. So if by the time the game closes and I can't complete third downs, I hope you won't say, it's time to bench Bryce Young. Though we couldn't have picked higher, it's a dumpster fire, and we're done. It's time to bench Bryce Young. Though we couldn't have picked higher, it's a dumpster fire, and we're done.
Extraordinary reporter Jeff Darlington has texted Stugotz that indeed the tased bet was about Tom Brady staying with New England. He said he would agree to the bet if because he would be stunned if Brady returned to the Patriots.
Right. Yep.
So reporter extraordinaire Jeff Darlington doesn't get those things wrong.
I have to be honest. I was nervous when you went to a Bryce Young song. Quite the gamble.
Right. I didn't know it would be there, and boom. Then it was there. Somebody finally had produced something around here. I wasn't sure I was going to get a song, but they turned it around very quickly.
Ask for a Jaden Daniels song.
I will someday. Maybe this is not a piano bar. I don't take
never
requests.
know.
I don't take requests.
Okay.
God bless football, incidentally. Came out already, Billy? Is it out?
It is out, Dan.
How was Kansas City overall?
It was an adventure. It was I think it might be the shortest and longest trip of my life, if that makes sense. Like, I was there for, I think between check into the hotel and check out of the hotel, I was there for 24 and a half hours. So it was a very short turnaround. It was a late flight in. It was an early flight out. I had a situation with the car rental situation. So I was on the same flight as Stugotz, but Stugotz did not want to wait for the car rental, so he took an Uber and left me to deal with the car rental on my own, which was not the nicest of things to do. So I had to wait. You know, we got in at like 1:30 in the morning. I had to wait an hour for the car. All the other cars were taken. All that was left at that point in time was a 15-passenger van. So Billy Gill, party of one, was driving a 15-passenger van through Missouri at 2 a.m. And then, the good people that I was with decided it was a good idea for me to then also return the car by myself when I was driving back for my 5 a.m. flight. So at 2:30 a.m., I was driving in the opposite direction again, party of one in a 15-passenger van. But I'm not here to complain. I'm not here to gripe. It was an adventure. It was fun. It was some people were hospitable. Some people were not hospitable, and I will tell you that. I was wondering because I didn't see this video package until it came out. I got into a number of shouting matches with the less than hospitable Kansas City fan base at times. But overall, it was a very fun
They care
adventure.
about football more than most people.
Oh, way more
Yes.
than we care. We're Midwesterners now, I think it's fair to say.
We are,
Stugotz and I, just from, a cup of coffee in the Midwest. But they really care about football. So we got to the stadium about 5:30, and cars had been lined up since 8 p.m. the night before, which is just insane.
Look,
just wait.
man, if you felt this weekend just what football is, imagine getting your regional identity from "we've got the best quarterback, we always win." Like, I can't even imagine what's exploding in the middle of Middle America there when they can get all of their identity for something better than barbecue, something that tastes better than barbecue. It's just, oh my God, we dominate everybody. I can't even imagine what you guys were walking into there. That seems, though, not fun to do it that quickly. 25 hours, that doesn't seem like you have a lot of time to breathe. It's Golick over here. It's Wingo's walking around on the fringes of football. Where'd that porta potty come from?
Where's Stugotz?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
I was always right there.
Had we done it differently,
12-hour pregame.
Yeah, had we done things differently, I maybe would have gotten there the day before, checked out a Royals game, gone to the Negro Leagues Museum. Like, there's things I wanted to do. Lots of barbecue there. I didn't have a chance to get to the barbecue restaurants because once we got there like 7 a.m. They kind of told us, like, don't leave because it's going to be really hard for you to get back in. So we didn't really leave. We stayed put and we just kind of made the most of
That's not the way to do that,
things
Billy.
There. Well,
that's
I
all
think
work.
it was a business trip. What do you want me to do? You know what I mean?
Well said. But the overall experience was really, really good. We had a great time. Like, Arrowhead for me is so aesthetically pleasing when you see it on your television screen. It just looks like a cool place to be. It was really cool to be there. It was even cooler in person. And yes, they love their football. Here's what else the people of Kansas City love. They love their military. They spent the entire game. Whenever they show any person from the military on the Jumbotron, you don't have to tell them.
No.
They take their hats off and they give a standing ovation. Yeah. I mean, that's what they do in the Midwest.
It felt like 8 or 9 times, and I want to say 8 or 9 times not enough. Almost every time out, we were saluting a member of the military who bravely served our country, and everybody knew. You turn around to that giant thing in the upper deck where Rob Riggle hit that drum, and there's going to be a member of the military there. You turn around, you tip your cap. Nary a cap on a head. I'll tell you that right now. Everybody knew. You turn around, you tip that cap. You say TYFYS to the members of the armed services who are up there.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you that right now is useless to me as a phrase.
How
Because
so?
you just told me that seconds ago.
Well, I was letting you know. I was warning you. It's a warning.
But I'll tell you
hey, it's
that.
coming. I'm going to
tell
tell you something right
but
now.
you just
Boom.
said it. It's not right now.
There's
you
a
just
warning.
said it. It's not a warning. It's behind us.
But it's
you
like,
just said it.
you know,
You just said it, and then you said, "I'll tell you that right now." I knew what you were talking about because you just said it.
No.
It wasn't right now. It was before.
You know, sometimes you say spoiler alert before you say something. You say trigger warning if this is like a sensitive thing. I'm letting you know. I'm going to tell you right now about the armed forces right up there, upper deck. By the way, you asked about God Bless Football. God Bless Football Monday Hangover out right now. Lucy Rohdin was on. We played a new episode, our new rendition of Lucy or Goosey, and we debuted. We kind of did a soft launch the other day. We debuted a brand new segment sponsored by Smirnoff called Winners and Losers. Yeah. What's this?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Rambling.
Is in
You
here.
asked him.
Rambling.
I didn't.
Rambling.
I did not ask for the.
We made some friends in Kansas City. We went into a booth.
Winners or losers?
I will tell you, getting into the booth of the Rhea family,
Sponsored.
lovely people.
Oh,
love
lovely.
them. Oh,
Can you keep
fast
it?
friends
Look,
we made with
also
them. I'll tell you
inefficient,
this as
I
I'm
will
walking
tell
away.
you.
I'll tell you this as we're walking away here to go to the penalty box.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to change that to a major there.
Major penalty on the ice, 5 minutes for rambling.
That's a review.
We were invited to a suite. Very nice listener of ours, his entire family. He was so excited. He said to me, him and his family, we be more
No,
excited.
no. Out. No.
I
Turn
remember
the mic
you
off.
need this.
Turn
You
the
need this. You
microphone.
need this bit. You need this bit of information. So we went there. We went
This
to.
is not-
We went to the suite.
Hear him out.
Stugotz. It was hard to twist his arm to get to the suite. The only reason we went there is because he was convinced that he was going to end up in Travis Kelce's suite because his daughter's trainer is the same trainer as Travis Kelce. So he used this poor family just to get to the suite level to try to sneak into the suite with Taylor Swift. Okay, but
Why can't you always be that efficient with what you say instead of I will tell you this, I told you that? Like, I will say this is useless as a phrase. Just say it. I know you're going to say it. That's how speech works. I will say this. Yes, say it more efficiently. Stugotz, to me, the thing that was most interesting about on-field stuff yesterday.
Right.
Because everything's going to go through Kansas City. And it's not just that they've got the best team and the best quarterback. It's also a style of play anybody would love to have. Great young defense and offense. Quarterback's going to be, a combination of wonderful and plays reckless, but doesn't actually have a lot of bombs blow up in his face.
It doesn't have to go through Kansas City. They did it on the road last year, but I get your larger point. You're going to have to beat Kansas City to get to a
not
Super
an
Bowl.
important
Right.
correction. They've got the best quarterback. They're young. If you have to go play them in the snow like the Dolphins did last year, you're going to lose.
Right.
But outside of everything happening in Kansas City and the idea that they're the standard, to watch yesterday, after all of the macro conversations that this show has had for 5 years about Cleveland quarterback play, to see Baker Mayfield be better than Deshaun Watson in a way that feels like we can close the book on that.
Yeah, by a lot. I mean,
For Deshaun Watson to be taking up that much Cleveland payroll and for Cleveland to be a quarterback away because of how good their defense is, to see Baker Mayfield have fun while Deshaun Watson is going 0 for 7 on passes in the first half, past 5 yards, or you're having 0 for 4 anytime that he's pressured by anybody. Chris, Cody, what did you just throw in the middle of my thought there?
That was just, I was trying to get a sound and I had a pot up. My bad.
The old pot up.
To have Baker Mayfield be better than Deshaun Watson when I'm not positive that Baker Mayfield has better weapons than Deshaun Watson.
I mean, he has Mike Evans, he has Godwin, he has, they have Rashad White as well.
Hold on a second. Let me get Chris out of here.
Yeah, I deserve this.
Okay.
Yeah, just fouled up the whole show.
5 minutes for stumbling.
Stumbling. You're quite the penalty kill here, Roy.
Take that.
I need you to take the blue line.
Let's get Katie
It's
Nolan
2-on-5,
in here.
I mean.
Don't feel free to help me while I do the show instead of play defense against it.
It's such a great story, Baker Mayfield, because this is the quarterback that the Browns need. I mean, the Browns could use a guy like Baker Mayfield. The Jets could use a guy like
funny.
Sam Darnold, by the way.
It's funny.
I mean, but Baker's great. This is what Mike saw in him early on when he said Baker has the goods. It's what I saw in him early on. It went away, but to have this kind of resurgence.
No, but more interesting than that to me is that Cleveland's got they're a quarterback away, and all their money is invested in that particular guy.
Yeah.
Like you've never seen this happen before in the sport. He's been ruined by what he wrought. What came into his life for 2 years because of God knows what he was doing.
Keep an eye on Brady to the Browns. I'm just saying. Yeah,
He had a pretty close-up view. Look, he had a prolific rookie passing season, broke Peyton Manning's records. He then took them to the playoffs and won a playoff game against Ben Roethlisberger's Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. His main sin was that he tried to play through a season with all sorts of injuries that made him a lesser quarterback in Cleveland.
A contract season.
Cleveland, who was starved for what Baker Mayfield gave them, thought that they had all the answers, and they pushed
Odell
him out the door.
Beckham, Jarvis Landry win right now. Super Bowl expectations somehow in Cleveland when they've never got playoff expectations.
All of a sudden, they lost their patience after finding what they had searched for decades on end for. So, hate to see it happening to them. They did this. Their front office should be wearing hot dog costumes because they're the reason why they're in this situation.
Well, let's bring in here Katie Nolan, lifelong Patriots fan, because Stugotz, a lot of people were very critical of Tom Brady yesterday. He did the Browns game, Browns-Cowboys, And you know you're not bringing something that's desired when Scott Hansen is on the red zone and there's a 71-yard field goal being thrown out there. And Scott Hansen is saying Tom Brady needs to get more excited about that.
Oh, man.
It's a 71-yard field goal. We can't talk about that like you're a cardboard cutout. I remind you that what Romo was doing, he was giving you a lot of enthusiasm. It wasn't just that he was predicting the plays. You knew he loved football. If there's a 71-yard field goal attempt, we got to get excited about that.
Right.
And so Scott Hansen is reprimanding him.
But what Tony does is he gets excited, and then he asks Nance, hey, Jim, you think he's going to make it?
Okay, but there has to be.
Now Tony Romo cares about someone else's opinions.
No, but it was funny. The Bear was on God Bless Football, and he said that Tony Romo is actually the play-by-play guy, and Nance is the analyst. That's what it's turned into. But I do love Tony Romo. I like unprepared. Brady was too prepared, over-prepared.
Oh,
he was nervous.
Well, this is going to be interesting, and he will get better at this. But let's bring in Katie Nolan now. Katie, what were your general thoughts? I wouldn't even say it was mixed reviews. It seemed like people didn't like Tom Brady his first time out, and I'm sure he hasn't been used to that in a minute.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling that the price tag has something to do with that, because the amount of bad people seemed to think that he was felt to me a little over exaggerated. Was he great? No, it was his first time. Look, as somebody who has sucked in a booth, I know what it sounds like to suck in a booth, and he didn't suck. He was okay. He has a lot of room to grow. Is my personal opinion. Did you like it, Dan?
Very gently. You're being very gentle.
Tony Romo.
I've got to be honest that the Denver 5-3 game put me to sleep, and so I wasn't in an optimal criticizer mood because it just put me to sleep. And so I saw a lot of people commenting about Caden's problems. Chemistry was off. Producers reached out to me saying they could hear him talking to his own producer. He was doing like Greg Cody, not realizing he was on the air and he was just talking to his producers. You can't do that. That's 101. That's amateur.
I think that happened one time. It happened one time. I will say also in his defense, a weird game. There were a couple weird things that happened in this game, and one of them, Kevin Burkhardt, who did fantastic, as did Mike Pereira. So shout out to both of them. But at one point, Kevin Burkhardt was like, "I have never seen anything like this before," and I felt for Tom because that's a crazy thing to have happen your very first time in the booth. So was he perfect? No. I think I'd give him a 7 out of 10 in his overall performance. I didn't think it was awful. I am a little biased. I also, knew I had to come here and talk about it. And I also know that I wasn't particularly well loved when I was in a booth, but I do stand by the best way to learn what a mistake sounds like is to make a ton of them. And so since we are stuck with Tom Brady doing this for 10 years, I have, if you think he might want them, some pieces of advice.
I would love that. I would love that. Can we put it in a top 5? Would you be kind enough to put into a top 5? Put them in order in your head. Pieces of advice from Katie Nolan. Mike, what is the reaction you've seen? 7 out of 10. I think she is being very generous compared to reaction I have seen. I haven't seen a whole lot of people going higher than that in praise of the Tom Brady performance.
Social media has been pretty judgmental, and I would say let's give him some time. But like Katie said, people are paying attention to how much they're paying him and thinks that doesn't afford him any kind of time.
She's right about that. That is what people are reacting to. You got to be better than Olsen out of the
Greg
gate,
Olsen
and that's
has
hard.
So many allies on social media. It's crazy.
You think Olsen enjoyed that yesterday?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Do you have any OLI, Katie? Or are we just going top 5?
We'll just go. We'll do just top 5.
All right.
We got clips.
Yes. Oh, you've got clips. Wow, you got those together quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. 5.
You're on a heater. This and the Bryce Young song, Dan?
Top 5 pieces of advice for Tom Brady in the booth from Katie Nolan. Number 5.
Now, because I'm remote, I think the cleanest way to do this, I'm going to call for the clip. We'll watch the clip, and then we'll talk about what we just saw. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first clip.
Obviously, there's quality of players in the secondary, but they also have Jordan Hicks at linebacker that they brought over, who's very familiar with Jim Schwartz's scheme. They have Owusu Koromo at linebacker, had a great year last year. So.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Was that a belch?
Yeah. So, okay, pretty clear what the mistake was there. That's a burp sentence, which in certain situations you can just power through. I would argue being in the booth for a football game, not one of those situations. And so my piece of advice for Tom Brady, for a 4:30 start game, big breakfast, okay, maybe a little snack, and then you're eating dinner after the game. Okay, it's very
That's
important.
good advice. Can
I would say burp more. I mean, that's what football fans are doing at home.
Yes, Stugotz, he can be an everyman if he were to do that. But have any of you heard that recently happen on a broadcast? Any broadcast of any kind? A news broadcast? I'm not just talking about in the middle of your Sunday. I'm asking all of you, when's the last time you were listening to something that wasn't this show and somebody was stifling a burp and saying, excuse me? That's not something that happens in professional broadcasting.
Sam Van Gundy kind of does this.
Always.
I think it was Reese Davis and Lou Holtz. I mean...
Okay, number 4. That's a strong start at number 5. Number 4, Katie.
Okay, you're numbering these, and I probably should have put them in. But okay, let's go to the next clip.
First drive of the game. Just can't go backwards against this Cleveland defense. It's too hard to make 10 yards. It's really hard to make 20 yards. Again, it's hard to gain 10 yards in the NFL. It's really hard to gain 15 yards. Very, very difficult to gain 20 yards. So going backwards, these penalties, so many of these games that I went into, we figured out, how do you not go backwards? It's hard enough to go forward, but to go backwards and lose 4 yards on this play, in order to go forward, they need to stop from going backward. Just too many negative plays, too many penalties. And
Okay, so this one, maybe I'm nitpicking a little, but I feel like you're allowed to repeat yourself over the course of a broadcast, but it's got to be like an interesting, complex topic that you're repeating. You're repeating it to make sure that the idea gets in people's heads. Saying that it's difficult to get 10 yards in the NFL, I don't think we need to say that more than once.
Right. Plus, it wasn't difficult for him.
And I guess a lot of people are probably saying, yes, Tom, we know 20 yards is harder to get than 10. Like that's not
15, 20, 25.
And then the next thing you hear is $375 million. It's harder to get $375 million than it is to get $374 million. Katie, number 3.
Okay, let's take a look.
one of those quarterbacks you can't be sloppy around, and pretty good throw. Moore just doesn't quite have the length, and Diggs has been a beneficiary of a lot of these overthrown balls. And that's what they're looking for Diggs to return to as well. He's been an interceptor since he came into the league. A couple years ago, he had 9 picks. Unfortunately, tore his ACL last year. This gives him a lot of juice, too. He wants to get right back to the form. He's looking for picks every time.
No doubt. Are we nitpicking? What are we doing? Have we got?
Okay, you got to listen to that one carefully. So it was a high impact moment. It was a pick, and Kevin Burkhardt reacted very excited. Tom Brady came in, said interesting things, but was kind of talking like this. And then all of a sudden, at the end, he started to, and to me, it felt like somebody got in his ear.
Energy.
This is just a guess.
Yeah.
That somebody got in his ear and they said, energy, and he took the note. So that's good. But he took the note kind of obviously. And that, I would say, was not good. And so just keep the energy, meet the moment. You know, if something big and exciting is happening, get big and exciting about it. Preferably at the beginning of your sentence, not the end of your sentence.
Katie, this is all very helpful because you are being kind about this, and it's constructive criticism, and I'm sure he'd appreciate constructive criticism. I hadn't noticed what happened there, Stugotz. Like, he is going to have an energy problem if he's got to fake it, right? So, like,
of course, yes.
Like, if he's got a fake enthusiasm because he's seen a lot of football and Bill Belichick ground him to dust, and he's not actually that interested in what he just said.
Plus, all the football he's watching and analyzing pales in comparison to the football he played.
And he's nervous. And let's see clip number 2, because this is actually helpful broadcasting advice. Let's see clip number 2.
I appreciate you noticing that. And I will say this is what I could have. We're going to go to the clip. We're going to let Dan throw to the clip.
Yeah.
We want me to throw to the clip?
You were supposed to. No, it's on Dan. Yeah.
Listen,
You established that she's in charge
Katie,
of the clips.
yeah, my bad. Chris just told me. Chris, I'm going to blame this on Chris
Okay.
again.
Whoa!
He just told me that you're going to throw to me, and I'm going to throw the clip. That's what I got.
Hold on, Katie.
A segment dedicated to making fun of someone else's broadcasting chops.
Stumbling.
He just got done telling me, Dan, you throw it to the clip. And so I threw it to the clip, and then Katie didn't know I was throwing it to the clip.
First two were clunky.
Time management. Yeah.
But he meant throw it to Katie, throw it to the clip.
Katie, did we just play the clip? Let's play the clip.
We
Let's
didn't
throw
play
it to the clip
Play the
together,
clip.
Katie, while
Let me
criticizing.
throw to it. Let me throw to it.
Someone
Please
go to the
play
penalty
clip.
box.
Chris,
Play the
penalty
clip.
box.
Coach
I'll go
who
for
wasn't
it.
afraid to cuss out his players either. You did? I did. I do have a pretty strong feeling on that too, and I look at the NFL and I think, how do you get these superstar athletes that are around so many people in their lives that tell them how great they are all the time? They have agents and they have parents and they have brothers and sisters, and you are in a league and you're a great player, but it's nice to have that accountability from a coach too. And you want to be pushed to your limit. If you're a player in the NFL, someone down with an injury.
Yeah, I got injured Brown on the far side of the field.
You want to be a great player. You want to be pushed. You want to be challenged. You want to be criticized. You want to be, hey, you didn't show up to practice today and do the job we needed you to do. And if you don't do it on this day, it's not going to go well on Sunday. And again, I was the beneficiary of a lot of that hard coaching. And I love that you have an old school coach like Zimmer that does it. McCarthy does it. Discipline, accountability are mainstays in any successful organization, and I have no problem with any coaches that feel like they need to tell their players the truth, because just don't get a lot of truth all the time as an NFL player, because you're in the league and you made it and you had a good college career. Well, that doesn't mean anything, and even if you had a good game last week, well, the only way to have a good game the next week is to prepare equally as hard.
Well, it looks like Martin Emerson is up on his own power. That's good for the Browns.
Someone's injured is not the way you have to go there, obviously.
Yeah. So this is interesting because he's saying something pretty interesting. And when he started going on that rant, I was like, oh, they're going to like this. Him talking about basically what his relationship with Belichick was like and how he feels about that approach to coaching. As soon as he said someone's down with an injury here, I was like, okay, so we're going to not be able to listen to this rant. Bummer, but that's how you handle usually an injury. And then he just got more passionate even. So someone's down here, and then Kevin Burkhardt having to put a button on the ramp by saying, and good, he can walk. So that's good. So I would say just be mindful of injuries. I also will say, though, that rant that he did get off in that space justifies everything I'm doing in this segment. So do not tell me I'm being mean. He said that you can only get better if you can take some criticism. And I just want to reiterate that I love you so much, Tom, but I'm just trying to help you be better at what you get paid a bunch of money to do.
You're not being mean. I'm being more critical than you are. And as I mentioned, I was asleep during some of the broadcasts. So as a critic, I'm not totally qualified here. I've just seen a lot of criticism. What else do we have? What's the big finale here?
Okay, this is I think the biggest, most egregious thing. This is number 1 or number 5. I don't remember how you were numbering it. Let's go to the clip.
Captain, you can't do that. Well, do what? You can't watch football without Tostitos. Get some salsa too. Jules, you know how to fly this thing?
No. Tostitos, the official chip and dip sponsor of the NFL.
Gonna need more Tostitos in front of me.
You gonna go get that?
You get it.
I'm the co-pilot. You get it.
I'm pretty sure we played the wrong clip there while criticizing
That's not the right clip.
Tom Brady. That's good work. That
was a commercial with Edelman.
Yeah, that's good work.
Yeah.
Can we get the actual clip that Katie wanted to throw it to?
What was wrong with that? The smile?
That wasn't. That was
great
just a
chemistry.
commercial.
I mean,
that was not. I don't understand what clip we were supposed to be throwing it to. But if we're going to criticize Tom Brady's broadcasting,
I'm happy seeing his own face makes him smile that way.
Let's play another clip and let's see if we can find the one Katie wants.
So good down there. Every offense wants to run it in, but he's a good pass catcher too. So Cleveland struggled, keep people out of the red zone once they got in there.
Elliott's going to be in the end zone. Touchdown, Dallas.
Okay, so that was kind of it looked bad over here. I don't know if you could hear it. The biggest thing is get in, get out. You got to know what you're going to say, and you need to say it in the little amount of time that you have to say it. It's almost just as valuable to stop talking at the right time as it is to say something interesting. And so in that situation, because he's still trying to figure out how he's going to end his sentence, he's talking while a touchdown is being scored, which steps on Kevin Burkhardt's call of the touchdown, which completely robs the moment of any sort of gravitas. And so get in, get out, Tom. Know what you're going to start saying and know how to get out of it and end it really quickly. And that'll just come with talking more. If I can be honest, you don't talk that much. I don't think I've ever heard you talk that much. And so I think the more you do some talking, the more it's going to click. You're going to be fine. You'll be just fine.
Stugotz, it is interesting and perhaps something you don't consider until you hear it wrong. He's there to accent the game, not to be maximum Tom Brady. And when you get a big call, even Tom Brady's got to stop and get out of the way.
You have to get out of the way. When I did the women's Final Four for lacrosse for ESPN, the guy told me, listen, when a goal's about to be scored, shut up. That's what he told me. Brick. I remember that guy, John Brickman, I think was his name. And I did. I shut up. I was in the middle of telling a story. You got to lay out, even if you're Tom Brady, when someone's about to score, and let Burkhardt be Burkhardt, because that's his job. Do you think Burkhardt at any point yesterday texted his friends during the game going, yo, this guy sucks, right?
I doubt it.
Oh, come on. You don't think a single friend texted Burkhardt and said he's making your job more difficult?
I don't think that's what Burkhardt was doing during the broadcast. I do think Burkhardt's never called a game where he feels quite what he felt yesterday, all in and around that, because you're working with an amateur, and I don't even mean that as an insult. Tom Brady hasn't done this, and what Katie's saying is so gentle, though she did it. When it sounds wrong, you hear it because everyone else is doing it some form of right. Like, so when he's talking over a touchdown, you're like, wait a minute, that's not something I hear on a professional broadcast. That doesn't happen. The touchdown happens. It's the most important thing, not that Tom Brady's talking. But you were very nice to him, Katie. I was less nice. You were very nice to him because a lot of people are beating him up today. So thank you for being a little kinder than most.
Well, that's, my job. I wish people could have been a little bit nicer to me. So maybe next time if I try to go into a booth, we can all just know I know who I am and I was trying to do it different. Back to you.
Smile.
That smile is hiding so much acid. You were so mean to her, people on Apple television. You were so mean to her. Because you were used to your baseball broadcasts and Vin Scully. Yes, that's what happened. I'm used to John Miller. Do you know what you did to that woman? It was so viciously unfair. Rabid and poisonous. Deeply mean and extra masculine. Because she deigned to try and have fun around your sacred baseball.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery.
This is a big one. Come on. You talk about energy. Tom Brady needs to bring energy. This is the first NFL weekend observations. This is going to be bloated with all sorts of stuff you can't get anywhere else.
Dan, Sunday morning started with the news of a star player getting arrested just outside the team facility. Then, the richest contract in the sport was given out by America's team for a quarterback that has never won in the divisional round. And that was all before players took the field. And Dan, just like that.
I was there. It happened.
Make no mistake about it.
I was awake for a full 3 hours.
The NFL.
That's right.
Is back.
Yes. Yes, did it dwarf? We haven't even talked college football.
I know.
Do you realize how hard that's been for Mike not to mention Colorado in the first hour of this show? Do you have any earthly idea?
Just so you know, I don't make the schedule, Jess.
Mm-hmm. If an elite athlete is going to get arrested on the way to his job, you can rest assured that Jeff Darlington is going to be there. The Miami Police Department tackles better than the Jaguar secondary. Marcus Freeman, the rare hot seat that isn't hotter than the coach.
I can't believe Northern Illinois won at Notre Dame. Are you
big.
shitting me?
They have a chance. Listen, a Group 5 school is going to make the playoffs. Why not them?
But are you kidding me? How do you lose at home to Northern Illinois?
I don't know.
You're Notre Dame.
I don't know.
You're also Marcus Freeman, who does that a lot.
Yeah.
To massive favorites. Did it to Marshall.
Yep.
Did it as a massive favorite to Stanford. This is a thing now to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm. We finally found something that Tom Brady stinks at. Mike Tomlin looked naked without a hat on the sideline. He did.
Put it on the poll,
weird.
Choo. Did Mike Tomlin look naked without a hat on the sideline?
Stash this away in the Something to Ponder file. Was Bill Belichick holding the Patriots back?
Please get that Jacoby Brissett game out of my life forever.
Jacoby Brissett did what Jacoby Brissett does.
What is that? Throw for 130 yards?
Wins. You simply cannot have enough Jacoby Brissetts on your football team.
That is not true.
You led me right there, man.
That's not true.
It's amazing. No, Dan, you need guys like that. He's a leader. That's what he is. He comes in, he fills a gap, he wins you a game or two, he doesn't embarrass you. He's a leader. They won the game.
I feel for anybody who's got one of those teams that's going to have to win 17-10. Like any fan base that's following that all season, I'm sorry.
Right.
Steelers, I'm sorry for you too.
Headline: Mark Schlereth believes Russell Wilson is playing himself out of the Hall of Fame. Stink. Hey, Stink. That was a great take a year ago when I said it. Dan, you know what the S in Schlereth stands for? Can't speak. Stealing my takes. Sam Darnold. I hate them. Baker Mayfield. Gamer. The Browns could use a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. The Jets could use a quarterback like Sam Darnold. The Jets could also use a quarterback like Geno Smith. Oh, my God.
Billy, can you help me with something?
Oh, my God.
He's used a couple
We're
of
in last
times
place.
on the show already. The Jets play tonight. Aaron Rodgers, they have a quarterback. A couple of times he's already made the joke the Jets could use a quarterback like Sam Darnold because he started, 12 for 12 yesterday.
so good.
Yeah.
Has that a joke that's been made on God Bless Football?
No, he saved that one for you, Dan.
Thank you.
That one's just for you.
All right, you let me know if there are any jokes in here from God Bless Football recycled,
I'm
okay?
on it.
Thank you.
Checking me out here. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying, God Bless Football has to be a strong, different entity. It's coming out first. They're getting your good opinions there, refresh. Like,
Right.
man,
I get it.
The other big podcast goes Sunday night. They do it right after the game. So your fresh, hot takes, they're important that we get them out on God Bless Football.
Alabama.
But I don't want you recycled over here.
I didn't say this morning. Alabama. Enough with South Florida. If you want a cupcake, schedule Florida State.
You
How about
used
that?
one this
I did
morning.
not use that.
No.
There is no way I used that one.
Yes, a recycled take. Yes, thank you. I'd like some recycled sounds that stops Stugotz in his tracks and points out to people, you've already heard this material, fresher somewhere else.
They have FSU next year.
Michigan, cupcake. Michigan. Do it without Connor Stallions. Anyone enjoy some baseball over the weekend?
Yes.
Huh? No,
Yes.
you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Get out of here.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I'll tell you.
You were the only one.
I'm going to change a rule right now for you.
What?
Anyone who gets hit in the helmet by a hit-by pitch, that pitcher should be automatically ejected. There are way too many guys throwing too hard, and they don't care where the baseball goes.
Right.
Like, that has to stop. You can't keep, even if it's by accident, get people out of here when they hit somebody in the helmet.
Is Connor Norby good?
The Marlins are not any good.
But Connor Norby.
Right, he didn't ask you that. He asked you about Connor Norby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is that?
You can't be Norby. Your name can't be Norby, and you're good at sports. That's not how that works.
Last name, though.
No, there can't be a Norby anywhere in there.
Really?
It's a new rule, yes.
I'm going to find the Norby. I was good at sports. Anyone else watch baseball? Bridgeport. You have to give Kirk Ferentz credit. His defense was just too much for his own team to handle. If Iowa had any balls, they'd fire Kirk and replace him with his son. Dan, you know what the I in Iowa stands for?
I don't know.
If Iowa had any balls, they would fire Kirk and replace him with his son.
I don't think that's what it stands for. I think it's got to.
Well, they're my observations.
That's not the way that works.
Why
though.
his son?
Well, I mean, why not? Did they put up 40 points?
No, that was a fake
That was
story.
2 weeks ago.
That wasn't his son either. His son works for Maryland now.
Well, hire that person. Whoever put up the 40 points, hire that person. I thought it was Brian Ferentz. Did he fire Brian Ferentz? He fired his own son?
Well,
this guy should be out.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about. Right
really-
now, do you? Like you don't like you're just firing in every direction.
Let's just
and
keep it moving.
But you have no idea what's coming out of your mouth.
Well, what do you mean? There was a guy, and Taylor wrote it, by the way.
You're not.
There was this guy who coached
You're
last
not gonna-
week.
You're not going to stay here.
There was a
You're
guy
not
who
gonna do
coached,
this.
and they scored 40 points.
Stugotz,
Cade McNamara looked great,
You don't
and then
know
Kirk came back.
What
and
you're talking about?
They went back to being Iowa. That's fair, right?
Do you know what happened with Iowa this weekend or not?
They lost to Iowa State. I had Iowa. Do I know what happens? Anyone else terrified for poor Bryce Young? He looks so tiny out there.
That's what I told you last year. He looks small. He looks
really
smaller
does.
than everyone else.
The Carolina Panthers traded DJ Moore and Caleb Williams for Bryce Young. Holy hell. When Scott Hansen said 7 hours of commercial-free football starts now, I got chills.
He was rusty yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm used to Hansen being better than that.
Mm-hmm. It appears the Cardinals drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. to use him as a decoy. The Rams could use a quarterback like Jared Goff. Sharon Moore is coaching without an officially signed contract. The rare coach that is coaching the way out of a DocuSign. I mean, you have to sign a contract. What is he doing?
You do.
How is he taking the sidelines without a contract?
Mike, Marvin Harrison had 4 yards yesterday. You've got him 1,000 yards on the season.
That was my lock of the year. Just 997 yards to go.
In a game with not
You'll
very
get
much
there.
offense.
You'll get there, though.
Is Marvin Harrison the only receiver in that game who didn't have a bunch of yards?
He's the only one,
Yeah.
He was wide open, too, that one time.
Mm-hmm. The Titans were up 17-3 at half against the Bears and lost 24-17.
That Levis pass.
You know what that means? Mayo on his fingers, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the pick six just
so bad.
How confusing
It's the worst
is it?
pass in the history of the NFL.
You're so used to these guys being accurate, and anytime someone's open, hitting them in stride, that when someone does something like that, you're like, that person can't play in the NFL in a way that's going to win meaningful football games. Like that, you can't do that.
Anyway, you know what that means, right, Dan? Tale of two halves.
Chicago had no business winning that game.
But they won.
None.
They won despite Caleb Williams.
Those two teams, send them out to sea. Both of them. Get them
What do
out
you
of
mean?
here for a season. I'll see you next year.
I have the Bears in the Super Bowl. Bears-Jets.
Did you not see how bad the Bears' offense was? Yeah, these
1-0, Dan.
The rookie quarterbacks aren't. They're going to take a whole year to learn the position. You're going to
We'll
watch.
see.
You think any of them are going to be any good?
No, but if you watch the games like I did, you would notice that Caleb Williams threw a dart to Keenan Allen in the end zone that he normally catches, but Keenan Allen dropped it. Otherwise, today would have looked better for Caleb Williams. It would have. I saw signs, Dan. That's on Keenan, not on Caleb.
I mean, I didn't see very much yesterday that suggested anything other than the rookie quarterbacks are probably going to struggle.
Chase Young is a saint. Atlanta Falcons, death by field goals. Anthony Richardson, my God. I cannot believe how good that guy is.
How good or how strong his arm is?
He's good too, Dan.
He's 9 of 19.
How strong his arm is?
I think he's good. He runs the ball, how strong his arm is, and yes, he's only started 16 games in his football career.
I think what you liked, and I understand why you would fall in love with it, off the back foot, 70 yards.
I love that.
Yeah, who wouldn't like that?
Yes.
Missed a couple throws, though. It was as dynamic and
Easy
impressive
ones.
a 9 of 19.
Easy ones.
It was a fun game,
No,
man.
but a couple of throws, Stugotz, a couple of throws that every quarterback in that league makes when your guy gets that open. Like, it's inaccuracy that you notice. You notice that it's slightly less professional than the other guys. It's slightly more raw. You can see the upside of it, but missing guys he shouldn't be missing.
Kind of like Brady. By roughly midnight tonight, the Jets will be in last place in the AFC East. I hate them. How did all three teams win yesterday? It looked so promising. Bills were down. Dolphins were down. Feeling pretty good.
Patriots were never down.
Why? Jacoby Brissett's. I mean, what I'm talking about. Cal beat Auburn. Big win for the ACC.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It doesn't make any sense.
What is happening?
I don't know. I'm like, when I go in the weekend to check a score, and I'm like, where's Louisville? Like, I gotta think for a second. Where I used to check, I don't know which conference to go to.
Kevin Harlan calling your game. What a treat. It really is. He can take any game and make it feel like the biggest game of the weekend. It's amazing. Oh, he's good. Dave Doran, you're playing Tennessee on ABC in prime time. Maybe dress like it.
Wow, really? So we're going to criticize Tom Brady's broadcasting while not getting a single broadcasting thing right, and you're going to criticize someone's sartorial splendor when you've been wearing a hoodie from the trunk of your car for 4 years.
That's fair. I'm not coaching, though. I mean, I'm not in prime time on ABC. I'm not doing that. I dressed nicer when I was on ESPN. I did. I'm not doing that to disrespect you. I like to be comfortable when I'm doing the show. That's all.
You look exactly the same.
You're putting it
Totally right.
on us not being on ESPN.
You're totally right. Yeah, but I didn't wear a hat back then.
Yes, you did.
I let the hair flow.
Mike Ryan's got an accusation about the Dolphins coach.
Hair transplant.
Oh.
Mike Ryan's lane.
I think you're right.
Mike Ryan
Extensions?
is the only one reporting on these things anywhere in sports. He wants to be an insider who, and he's not judging it, who just tells people about cosmetic work that was done, and he's claiming that McDaniels' hair is new hair.
Not judging it. In fact, good work. Good work, and I would have said maybe pharmaceuticals could have gotten him along there. He wasn't that far off, but he wore a hat all off season, and the results are pretty good. Good work, Coach.
Nico, Tennessee's quarterback. I want to give you credit, but I'm scared of your last name.
They're good.
They are good. That team's really good. Texas, the rare team with two quarterbacks who are better than the other team's starting quarterback.
They're good.
Manning's coming. Oh, my God. That kid is good. Andrew Van Ginkel is a Viking. Where else can you win a College Station 1 week and lose at home to Northern Illinois the next? College football, Dano.
You mentioned Van Ginkel. Are you aware where Gesicki is? Because I don't play fantasy, so I like these discoveries.
Only because I wrote it down. He's a Bengal.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about? Do you know where Bobby Wagner is?
Oh, Wags.
Is he back with Seattle?
No.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna save it for a second. I'm gonna save it because I want to put together a list. This had to be happening all over the sport.
Yeah, it happened with me with Honey Badger. I didn't know he was still playing, let alone a Saint.
Right. Saints are good.
I mean, that might have a lot to do with Carolina, man.
It's going to have more to do. It's going to happen. This fantasy plague that is everywhere makes it so that you generally know where the skill position guys are, but defensive players are going to surprise you.
Mac Hollins scoring his first touchdown since 2022. You could say it was the return of the Mac. Taylor.
Tar Heel.
Roommates. Death, taxes, and Daniel Jones chasing down a defender on his way to a pick six. Guy stinks. Something we don't talk about enough. Trevor Lawrence might just not be good. I'm sick of the car washes that make you get out of the car. Serious. I want to drive through that machine. I want to sit in that machine all day. I love that machine. Oh, it is great. It's like vacation. Away from my wife.
Put it on the poll. Wow. At Le Batard Show. Is the car
Peace and
wash
quiet.
a sanctuary away from your wife? And also put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. What are you laughing about,
Peace and
Billy?
quiet. Car washes
It's
are
weird.
like notorious.
No, not my car wash. It is silent in there,
What?
man.
No,
I'm telling you.
it's hitting you. What do you mean? It's
Things
hit
are squishing
no,
around.
No, it's not silent. They're hitting you on the windshield with those flaps, those leathery flaps.
I just don't want to get out.
Put it on the poll as well at Le Batard Show. Do you want to get out of your car at the car
I
wash?
want a nice pin code. I punch it in. I go through, and I'm done.
Car washes are different now, right? There's like the car washes now. It's like a club. There's like lights. You go through this different section. Then you go through when it's drying, and like the red lights turn on. Like if this red light is drying your car, then there's blue lights and yellow. It's all this stuff. Sometimes when I'm bored and I don't know what to do with my children, my daughter will ask, "Can we go to the car wash?" And I say, "Yes."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the entertainment for the day.
We out of music.
Yes.
It's coming back in a second. Just
Bill Belichick, Notre Dame, collision course.
Wow.
Watch out. Something going on with Belichick, man. He's getting the boys back together.
Those car washes are a scam too, right? Like the
Yeah.
cheaper, especially the ones that you just like drive and it pulls you through. That thing is like just automatically taking you through. How do they know if you paid like the $30 or like the $5? I always go with the $5 because in my head,
Of course you do.
it's the same car wash.
Mm-hmm.
They're just ripping you off.
Arthur Smith, revenge game. Simon Cowell doesn't even look like Simon Cowell anymore. Neither does Randy Jackson. They don't. Have you seen him lately?
Yes.
Yeah, doesn't look the same. I love a quarterback that takes what the defense gives him.
Jacoby Brissett.
Top 5 quarterbacks that
Oh,
took
for
what
the
the
love of
defense
God.
gave him.
For the love of
Number
God.
5, Steve DeBerg. Number 4, Chad Pennington. Number 3, Bubby Brister. No. Number 2, Alex Smith. And number 1, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Notorious for taking what the defense gave him. He was.
That list had 3 people on it that didn't belong on it.
DeBerg?
You had 2. Alex,
How about Jim Kelly? I was thinking about Jim Kelly.
No.
Bobby would try to press it.
No. Alex Smith is one of them. Chad Pennington. He's got to be kind of noodle-armed. It's got to be mid-range and a lot of checkdowns. It's not down the field.
Well, who goes down the field there?
I mean,
Well, what
Bobby
if the
Brister?
defense is giving you down the field?
Tom Brady.
Yeah, if the defense is giving you down the field, you go down the
Tom
field.
Brady took whatever he wanted.
Yeah, but it's taking what the defense gives you.
No, he took it all from the defense. The defense wasn't trying to give him anything.
You're forgetting early Tom Brady. Definition of taking what the defense gave him.
First year only.
That's
Only
it?
the first year.
Okay.
Brian Sipe.
Ooh, Sipe's a good one. I'll give this list some thought.
It's a flawed list.
Taylor. The Falcons passed on Bill Belichick. I think every week Nick Saban is rooting for Alabama to lose. I still have no idea how the hell the Steelers won that game. I don't. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend.
Put it on the
observations.
poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Was Nick Saban rooting for Alabama to lose?
Hey, listeners of the Le Batard Show, it's me, Lucy. I just want to warn you that the video you're about to watch is a little bit disturbing. How did you feel seeing Iowa score 40 points last week?
I'm not going to lie. It was a bit shocking. We got to save some points for next week.
I'm hoping to double it this game. Actually,
Cade McNamara is my daddy. Dude. Whose quarterback is hotter? Okay, whoa.
It was a spiritual experience seeing an Iowa wide receiver catch a touchdown.
He is funny. He got that from me. That's my brother. Jack, what does it feel like to be my brother?
It is a interesting experience, definitely.
I don't like that answer. Iowa State, can you guys say one nice thing about them?
No.
Iowa State's like a third world country. What? The clones.
I mean, they're lovable losers. Matt Campbell is 1-6 against the University of Iowa. They did a very good job at choosing the worst alternate uniforms this year.
It's not even a rivalry at this point anymore, you know? Like, this is their Super Bowl. This is a normal game for us.
No, it wasn't a fair catch.
Is Iowa cool?
Hell yeah. Iowa's #1 place. Party hard and they win hard.
We have the best head coach in college football.
We love I don't know what.
No, we don't. We love Miller Lite.
I forgot I can't say that. You can restart that. I forgot I can't say that.
When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a big thing in your face, you get sprung.
And we love Powerade, right?
I fucking love Powerade.
Powerade is actually my favorite drink.
This was presented by Powerade. It takes more.
Let's go! We're honored to have you guys here at the University of Iowa, one of the best colleges in America.
Not bad.
And this girl, I've met her many times, and she can drink. Just like Moose.
No comment. See me on Jimmy Kimmel? It's hard being a celebrity, you know?
Congrats on Jimmy Kimmel. He's did us proud.
What do you guys want to say to Dan Le Batard?
I don't. Is that the guy on the radio show?
Do we like Dan Le Batard?
He's my boss.
Hell yeah, Dan Le Batard.
Give Lucy a raise.
Yeah! You are a staple on the Le Batard Show.
I know, I love the Dan Le Batard.
Yeah!
Who's this? Is this Mike?
No, this is Thomas.
Okay.
Not Mike.
But this is Rose?
This is Rose. That's not Mike.
love
That's
Rose.
Thomas. We've been told we have a speech. I don't know what about or who for.
Dan? This is the Cyhawk series, Human Cockfighting Edition. Happy Chinooka to Stu and Jeremy. Roy, you come here. We got as much free food and beer for you, or alcohol, as much as you want. We got you. Tony, keep an eye on Riley Moss. Beep. Yes, I hope you can become an Iowa fan because the rest of your favorite teams, because you got like 70,000 of them. Beep. Mike Ozempic-Chini, you bastard. Beep. Last but not least, beep. Billy, you evil cat, puzz up. That's for you, Stu. Go Hawkeyes, baby! Let's go!
You know, one day you're on Jimmy Kimmel, and the next day you're at rock bottom on the end zone, knowing that you got here basically as many times as Iowa did today. Oh, look, there's a little kid with an Iowa State thing running. Should I trip him? Whoops, I don't know how that happened. It was not intentional. I did not trip him. I'm a super duper positive person. Everybody knows that about me. Next week I can go to Wisconsin and just feel, you know, hopefully nothing is kind of what I'm looking for in life, really, is to feel nothing. Thanks for watching.
Everybody's slurring in all her videos. She's having more fun than the rest of us. I don't know how this works with you, Lucy. You and Jessica have become very good friends. When Notre Dame loses, do you console her or do you make fun of her?
So when Iowa loses, if somebody texts me, you're on my list. We're not pals. I know you don't really care about me. So when I saw that Notre Dame lost, I literally looked at Thomas and I said, I will not say one word to Jess. And then Iowa lost. And I said, well, damn, we're both in a tough spot here. So I made a little joke. And so since we both lost, I'll say something. But if Notre Dame had lost and Iowa won, you bet I would have not answered this question right now.
Mike, how does it work with you when UM loses? Does anyone here bury you, or do they all leave you alone because they know you care way too much and it's unreasonable?
Usually it's the only time I get to actually talk about Miami football when they lose. So pretty quiet on my front today.
Yeah.
I've never texted Mike after a loss, ever.
Yeah. But, Lucy's not here and Jess isn't here, so we can put all that Mike makes a schedule talk away.
Lucy, did you see any of Big Noon? Because Mike Ryan has fallen in love with what is it's the alternate pregame show, because Game Day has been the master for a long time, but Big Noon Kickoff is something that a lot of people are noticing that it too is good.
I did not watch Big Noon this weekend, but I have watched Big Noon previously. I think they do a great job. I think that College Game Day is kind of following suit with what Big Noon did, because Big Noon started like really trying to engage the fans originally, where College Game Day was just like an experience. You go and you watch. And now with like the Pat McAfee, like field goal and like a little more like crowd interaction, you can see they're sort of taking a page from Big Noon's playbook. I think both shows do a really good job. And it's honestly for me, I know that I'll watch the show that that's at the game I care more about.
Yeah, they're both really good shows, and I think Big Noon is creeping more into the national conversation with the stuff that they're doing, be it live music performances, which is something that I enjoyed from last week's show. Matthew McConaughey actually giving really good analysis, leaving Urban Meyer speechless at one point during halftime, and then having a face-off on the field while holding a Longhorn flag up against Charles Woodson, and both of them talking trash face-to-face. We're in a pretty good era of college football coverage, and we all used to be all in on game day is the only thing that matters, and now that you have an alternative, you can actually sample both, have one on each screen, flip channels depending on the game. And last week was certainly a Big Ten game between Texas and Michigan. They might actually give you more of what you want. I love having options.
I was driving on Sunday morning before football, and Lucy, I'm curious what your take here is, because it's not surprising, but I'm legitimately staring at my radio, Sirius XM, with my mouth open, because we've already gotten to, well, you can't blow it up again in Colorado. You know that Dion might leave with Shedeur and Travis, right? You know that he might leave with Travis Hunter and Shedeur, and other people are saying, and you know he's not going to let you fire him. He's going to get, and I'm like, whoa, we're there already, but it looked that bad against Nebraska.
It didn't look any better than last year. I think that's kind of my takeaway from the two games Colorado has played. Somehow they're the exact same team with all different players, like the exact same team. Nebraska is not a bad football team by any means. Nebraska is a team that is like not, their record has never really been accurate to how good they've been the last few years. But this was a long time coming for both Colorado and Nebraska. Nebraska was going to get that big win, and Colorado was going to show exactly who they are, which is not a good football team. Their defense is bad. Their offensive line is terrible. They have three players. They have three players on that football team, but yet they're three really good, really fun players. So we have put so much into that when the rest of it is genuinely terrible and unwatchable football.
They were really committed in offseason talent acquisition to the offensive line, and you've got nothing to show for it except a quarterback throwing that offensive line that's still got a block for him under the bus. One of the offensive lines that really also caught my attention for playing poorly was Oregon. What is happening with Oregon right now? They conceded 5 sacks all of last season. They conceded 4 just to Boise State alone. They needed 2 returns for touchdowns to eke out a W against Boise State, which, with all due respect, is a good football team.
Always good.
Yeah, they're good. They have the best running back in the nation, but I cashed out on an Oregon to win the national title futures bet, because that offensive line, Lucy, that does not appear to be it.
No, that was my thought watching that game back. So my thing is, I don't really take too much stock in a close win against Boise State, because like you guys said, Boise State is unbelievably good, and Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in college football, and if you have not watched him, you should. It's appointment television. He had 6 touchdowns the first week, but the offensive line looked so bad, and Oregon still has that big play potential, but like Dylan Gabriel doesn't necessarily have like the fiery zest of Bo Nix, so he needs a little bit more from his offensive line, which we're not seeing so far. And as good as Boise State is, you're about to enter the Big Ten, which is built on the foundation of very strong defenses and very good D lines. Oregon is going to have to make some changes pretty much ASAP, because like you are not going to have the luxury of, 2 like returns when you're playing a Big Ten team. Like that's just not going to happen. But the offensive line was my biggest issue. I think just like defensive wise, I'm not too worried about giving up anything to Ashton Jeanty, because he's literally so good.
What is this fiery zest that you talk about? I have not heard anyone in sports analysis say that someone has a fiery zest. What is this?
How he like runs with his head cut off like a chicken, like Bo Nix. The Bo Nix experience, baby. You don't know what you're going to get. It's crazy. It's wild.
You get about 4 air yards.
Yeah, 3.3 yards per attempt in Denver. Well, it didn't seem like fiery zest. It seemed like charred remains of garbage.
Yeah, well, you didn't watch freshman year Auburn at Bo Nix. That was the best. That was his.
He was just a young child when that happened.
Yeah, and he was awesome. He was great. What Oregon does isn't what the NFL does. Bo Nix kicked ass at Oregon last year, the last 2 years. He was so fun. He was one of the best offensive players in the country. Sorry that it didn't translate to your precious NFL.
I just don't know what this fiery zest is. Who else has
Watch Bo Nix at Oregon has fiery zest.
All right, who else has fiery zest right now? Who else showed you? Let's do a segment. Let's get a sponsor for spicy foods, and let's get who showed you fiery zest this weekend? You wept again during the wave?
Yeah, okay, but that one I feel like is really, really valid. They're waving to children in the children's hospital who are too sick to be there to watch the game, so they watch from up there.
You're right.
Everyone cries at that. I cry every single time.
Lucy,
so don't you dare bully me for that, Dan.
I think you tipped your hand as to where you're going next week. What's a game this coming weekend? Is it Wisconsin, Alabama?
Yes.
Tyler
Alabama,
Van Dyke
Wisconsin.
versus Alabama.
Crazy. This has been a very, this is kind of one of those weeks where you look at it and you're like, oh, okay. We're like, our game day is going to LSU at South Carolina. And you're like, all right, I guess this is what we have. So, Alabama's Wisconsin, I don't expect it to be very great, although Alabama did look iffy against USF this weekend. I'm just a little nervous because I do think Alabama is going to win. And not that I'm rooting for Wisconsin, but I'm in dangerous Ted Cruz territory of going 0-3 for the home team, and no one's ever going to let me back.
Well, this is part of what's happening now. The energy of the reports gets you have to do a lot more work when the home team loses, correct?
I do, but most of the stuff we do is before the game, and everyone has this insane confidence that they probably shouldn't have. But my job is a lot easier when the home team wins. And so far, we are 0-2 on that, and most likely, Bama's going to beat Wisconsin by 50. And that's really going to bum us out. But on the bright side, I think Wisconsin and Iowa are in the same sort of family tree of they get so drunk at tailgates and they will be fun no matter what.
The biggest story of the weekend was Northern Illinois, of the college football weekend, is Northern Illinois going into Notre Dame and winning at the last moments. What's second?
The second biggest story?
Yeah, just something from the weekend that you would put in there's nothing to put in the realm of that, but you say week 3, you're not totally thrilled with what's coming up. What about what we just watched?
So I think the second biggest story is that several teams tried to do what Notre Dame did this weekend. Penn State was down at half to Bowling Green. Alabama led USF by 1 point in the fourth quarter. Oregon barely beat Boise State, needed a game-winning field goal. There were a lot of top 10 teams this week that were so close to doing what Notre Dame did. And so that makes me excited because that means that in the coming weeks, we're going to start see that happening and more of the Notre Dame NIU results. But I think it shows that it's not as wide open. We thought the top was a lot heavier than it is. And so playoff could be crazy. Things are going wild right now.
I think another great story is what Tennessee has done.
They're so good. Oh, my God.
Their defense is really good. And NC State spent a fair amount of money in talent acquisition along the offense, and you wouldn't know it from watching that. It appears like Tennessee is getting to Tier 1 status, Lucy.
Oh, absolutely. James Pierce is one of the best players in the entire country. And obviously, we all know that Tennessee is going to have a really great offense. Tennessee is a super interesting team because it feels like no one's talking about them except for you just asking that question right now, because you're in the SEC where you just saw Texas beat the crap out of Michigan and Georgia beat the crap out of Clemson last week. Tennessee is still very much a contender, and they look really, really good, because the thing with Tennessee a few years ago when they had Hendon Hooker was their offense was amazing, but their defense was still one big giant question mark. That defense looks really good right now. And I know that NC State isn't like a high-flying offense or anything, but the way they were able to score against one of the better defenses in the ACC, and then to be able to defend the way they have with James Pierce, who I cannot emphasize enough is one of the best players in the country. Tennessee is a very, very dangerous team.
It seems like you two would both go in terms of early first month of the season that it's Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia is the best of what you've seen.
I think Ohio State's really good. Jeremiah Smith is outstanding. I think that they're in a tier, and teams like Nebraska and Miami are kind of figuring out where they fit in this expanded college football playoff. I think it's irrefutable, though. Alabama's probably in that second tier too. It's irrefutable that the talent has dispersed across the nation, and really maybe 4 or 5 teams have a legitimate shot at winning this national title.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that I have to tell myself this every week 1, every week 2 of each new college football season. We all got to chill out for a little bit. We all have to just collect ourselves. This is why I wish like polls didn't exist till week 5, because 2 weeks ago we thought Florida State was a top 10 team. Like, we're all still trying to learn and adjust. We don't really know who's good yet or who's not, but I think we can confidently say that the only teams we're very sure are good: Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State. Very, very good.
What was the fallout on you appearing on Jimmy Kimmel?
It was cool. I don't know. There was not very much fallout. People seemed to be pretty happy for me. For the first time in my life, my brother thought I was cool. He was like, "Hey, Lucy, meet my friends." She was on Jimmy Kimmel. That's never happened. So that was really, really cool. I've been getting like mean tweets a lot lately, but I don't really care about that. I get mean tweets just doing this.
What about your return to Iowa? You go back frequently. How did all of that end up feeling to you?
Oh, it was so fun. I don't know if Rose is in studio or not, but she told me unprompted that Iowa had the best tailgating of anywhere we've ever gone, which I took so much pride in that. It was great to be back. I know the vibes were they were really high because it was a rivalry game and Iowa scored 40 points the week before. Obviously losing sucks, but it's always so much fun to go back there. And everyone treats me like a little celebrity, which is so cool. They said, "Lucy, can we get your picture?" However, I will say that 2 fans of this show, shout out to you guys, after Iowa gave up like an 80-yard touchdown pass and the stadium was silent, I was standing right behind the Iowa bench and they were all in a bad mood. And these fans just kept screaming, "Lucy, Lucy, Lucy," which was very nice, but you picked the worst possible time.
Let's go. You got to get your timing right, Iowa people. You have to be zealots in the correct way with rhythm and with respect to the product on the field. We have not talked to you specifically about this outburst of the last 14 days of Caitlin Clark because you've been swallowed by college football. I haven't gotten any thoughts from you on the fact that she's like statistically already breaking all of the rookie records, triple doubles and threes, and obviously has figured out whatever needed to be figured out the first 2 weeks of the season.
Didn't I tell you guys this would happen? I feel like I've been pretty outspoken since she started that this would happen. I think the cool thing for Caitlin right now, I think the conversation, and very unfortunately, Angel Reese out for the season. She hurt her wrist. She's going to need surgery. So that kind of puts rookie of the year in the bag for Caitlin. However, I think the better conversation, even going into before Angel got hurt, was not whether Caitlin was going to be rookie of the year or not, or was she going to make, first team all WNBA, because she's playing at that level. And I think what's most impressive about this is, yes, her statistics are amazing and she's doing crazy, crazy things. The Indiana Fever are a playoff team, and they're not just a playoff team. They're a playoff team people are scared to play. Like, they do not want to get matched up against the Fever because they're one of the hottest teams in the WNBA right now. And she has made everyone on that roster so much better. And Kelsey Mitchell's been phenomenal. Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, they have all just gotten so much better as a collective unit. And so shout out Caitlin, shout out the Fever. They have been awesome. And I told you all that this would happen.
You see, she's ready for the big time. This is what Kornheiser and Wilbon have done for the last 10 years. The I Told You So show, where no one cares what you said, but you take the victory lap on what you said. Can you take us through real quick before we let you go? Find something in your father's basement that he would not want us to see and point it out to us. Just wherever it is that you can find anything that your dad has. It can be anything. Is there anything weird beyond the wood paneling that you can show us that your dad would be ashamed of because he doesn't keep that basement the way that he could? Keep in mind, Lucy, you are like what they originally accused the bloggers of being. You're the critic who joins us from their parents' basement.
Yeah, well, I don't pay rent, so eat losers.
Okay.
This is my dad's framed pyramid of success from John Wooden. So I don't know. Is that weird?
Yeah, weird enough. Thank you for joining us. Good seeing you, Lucy. Always nice seeing you. It's nice to see you spending all that Meadowlark money on expense accounts as you travel the weekend America and enjoy yourself.
Well, I got us on Jimmy Kimmel, Dan, so I earned it.
That's right.
And you
Congratulations.
said I could. You said I could.
And she needed to buy Iowa gear. She didn't have any.
I did.
Exactly.
Yes.
I actually didn't even buy anything, by the way. You're welcome. I saved you so much money. And I'm not going to buy anything in Wisconsin either. You're welcome.
Minute. What are you doing?
I already have all the Iowa
penalty,
stuff.
5 minutes, ruining comedy.
You're not supposed to tell people that.
You bought me so much stuff at Texas A&M, though.
See you later.
How bad are they?
Billy.
Hey.
She was on God Bless Football with you guys.
She was.
What did you guys end up doing? God Bless Football is out right now.
What time
it's
is
out now. Check it out.
What time is the Thomas Hammock interview on God Bless Football?
Please, don't put any.
We're not
ideas
doing
in
that.
his head. Please,
We're not doing that because it's usually an opposing coach that has a big upset.
I know.
That's one of our
He's already
teams.
trying to start to do that, and I'm trying to get this
weird.
under control.
It's weird.
Anywho,
you guys have just broken away from it. Where's FAMU's coach?
if you want, you can check out to see what Beach Boys song the pilot of Lucy's plane started to sing while she was on the plane. God bless football.
Did you do useless sound montage? Have you done it?
We have a useless sound montage available should you want it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Everybody loves this thing.
I'm encouraged with the effort. Encouraged with the effort. There's always room for improvement and execution in those things, but I'll tell you, we don't need room for improvement in effort.
For me, I think the positive I can take out of it is the way that the guys stuck together and just kept playing hard.
It wasn't disrespectful, because my mom didn't raise me that way.
We battled and we continue to fight, and that's, those are the emotions of today.
It's almost like you don't want to hit him because I think when you hit him, he plays better. These are hard to get. Everybody in that locker room knows it, as do I, that it is really hard to win a game in the NFL.
Once it clicks, it's going to click,
I'm focused on doing my job and playing as well as I can, so I've got to play better, I know that, and I'm focused on doing that. Overall, we have to do a better job, and that starts with me. Again, I got to do a better job all the way around, and that's what I'll do.
If you can't get 4th and 1, man, sometimes you don't deserve to win. Yeah. And that's just a philosophical approach that we live by. I believe in our bigs. I've talked to you guys repeatedly that we're going to ride the wave that our bigs on offense and defense provide, and we mean it. Obviously, we didn't get it done right there, but we still live that life.
Listen, he gave us a chance.
I think there's small things that always lead up to big things that make games a lot closer.
What I like about this group is their will did not waver, and we'll keep our confidence, and we'll get back in the lab tomorrow and fix up what we need to fix up to win a game next week at home.
That first half was a winning offensive football game. Second half, that's can lose you games.
It's just kind of a tale of two halves, really.
Just being on the sideline, being with our crew, the guys were poised. Nobody batted an eye. Knew what we needed to do to win the game. Stuck to the plan, made some adjustments, and just kept playing. It's a long game. These games go 60 minutes down to the wire, and just proud of our guys and the effort, the attitude, the togetherness, and I thought they played really, really hard.
Half this league is obviously not going to be winners this week.
Everybody has bad apples.
Let's focus on the things that we have to improve on, all right? We'll enjoy the win, but we understand we've got a lot of things that we've got to do better.
There was going to be some good stuff that happened in that game. There was going to be some bad stuff that happened in that game.
I think there was a lot of opportunities that we didn't capitalize on, and when you don't do that, you get beat.
Whether you win, whether you lose, they're all the same for us coaches, right? You got to learn from wins, you got to learn from losses, and we will certainly learn from this loss.
Just, we're going to live that life. We don't live in our fears, man. We play and play to win.
At the end of the day, man, the season's not over.
Yes. The season is not over after week 1. Mike Tomlin, I loved hearing from him there. Man, look at how happy they are in the back row. Of
course.
Just hearing Mike Tomlin.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
We're not going to live in that
Pagano
fear.
status.
Love my bigs.
Yes.
Did it longer than Pagano, so he's number 1, I think.
They're going to go 9-8 again.
They make the playoffs.
Every game is going to be 6 field goals. For the record, Bobby Wagner is a commander.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Amazing.
Sounded like your Schefter again, for the record.
Well, I just think a lot of that happened yesterday. This is one of those days I missed the text machine because I know I would be getting inundated right now with how much this happened to the audience. There are rarely these connection points where I know exactly who I'm talking to about what, and there are many people out there who are not fantasy people. Like, there are also many people who are saying, yeah, how could this show not know that Bobby Wagner was a commander? There are plenty of those out there.
Please.
But I just know that was happening all over the sport yesterday, especially with defensive players. The thing I don't think was happening, Mike, and I did not know that this was going to now be a lane for you as our vanity correspondent. You're consistently breaking news about people taking care of themselves with either pharmaceuticals or science, and you've revealed, I haven't heard that anywhere else, that Mike McDaniel has phony baloney hair, that you are not judging, that you are proud of him for doing. Yes, yes, it's real hair, but it may be his actual hair retransplanted somewhere else or however those things work.
Yeah, technology is really... we're in a booming time for hair transplant.
It's not a toupee.
No. It's not a Bill Self situation. Not at all.
It's not a. It's who else has had it? Who else has got?
Carl Ravitch has had the same hairstyle since the '90s. So put that one together.
Looks great.
How many? You're not. Where do you report just straight toupees? Where are you reporting not modern day?
Even though that science is also improved. That science is also improved. You basically have to see generations go by with somebody having the same haircut like Bill Self for a while now to actually say that, because I mean I'm on that IG algorithm. Man, wigs are looking good these days. But no, credit where it's due. Coach McDaniel had good work done. I would have guessed this might have happened naturally. Someone bounced back because of keeps or whatever. But he wore a hat all offseason long. That's typically not his style. But he very clearly wanted to surprise us with a very fresh look.
The greatest toupee of all time is Dom Capers, right? I mean,
those were plugs. Famously.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Like doll-like
Wow.
plugs.
Well, wait a minute, though. Yes, these are different things. Toupees and plugs are different things. What Mike is talking about, he's accusing someone here of doing work so expertly and well that they are now their hair looks much better, but you are not. In fact, accusing is the wrong verb.
No, celebrating. I am celebrating.
Celebrating, yes.
That's good work.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Matthew McConaughey. Just tremendous work. Pantheon type work.
And also, you have the lane of facial work of any kind. You have not yet made a lot of Ozempic accusations.
No, I don't like
or
to
celebrations.
I don't like to do that. I mean, I myself have done the generic. Granted, I got fat because of
but you are doing vanity. Really? You are now doing vanity reporting. You're sort of being the Mario Lopez for sports, are you not?
I'm here for you. This is a service that you didn't know that you needed. But look, you find it interesting. I mean, the coach certainly had a glow up over the offseason. He became a meme. And I think we also should point out, hey, great comeback for the hairline. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
If you were the Packers, you do try and get Ryan Tannehill, correct?
You have to.
Yeah, over just because of the experience factor. Malik Willis, I actually liked Malik Willis a lot in college, but he's very raw and he's very new to their program. Like, he got there a couple weeks ago.
And that's why if you're Tannehill, like I said a few weeks ago, you wait. And now he can get the job and he can play.
He might be the quarterback for the Packers.
Instead of signing on to be a backup somewhere and hoping for an injury.
You start right
you
away.
Just sit back with your feet up and you wait for the injuries to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Stugotz was delighted during the break because he's like, Dan, isn't it amazing that of all the quarterbacks who got money after week one that we had questions about the $50 million range, the one who was supposed to get hurt is Tua, and Jordan Love's the one who got hurt. And the one yesterday who looks good is not the other one, Trevor Lawrence, who at the end of the game is all of a sudden getting sacked all over the place. And while all of us could look at this, I think all of us had the same reaction. Oh, Brian Thomas, that's going to be a good receiver. That he just did that to Jalen Ramsey. That's the highest paid corner in the league. It's going to be really hard to cover Brian Thomas. Trevor Lawrence will make an occasional throw where you're like, oh, holy shit. And very often they've got 17 points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
My main takeaway from week one around the AFC is we all feel pretty good about Kansas City, and all the teams that are supposed to challenge them, maybe they won, but they didn't look impressive in doing it. And I think the gulf between Kansas City after 1 week seems to have grown. Gulf between Kansas City and everybody else. Think of who's supposed to threaten them.
Baltimore, though, Mike. It's the team that lost. That's the biggest threat to them, I think.
I assume
Right.
Baltimore didn't play particularly well and had an opportunity to win that game, so maybe it is Baltimore. But Cincinnati, Buffalo, Miami, these are teams that did not really impress in week one.
The Texans?
Didn't really impress in week one. That's a game that they should take care of business in.
I'll tell you, though, what I was impressed by, and the only thing to me worth taking from the Texans obviously have skill position players and should probably be good for a while. When they're up 22-20 and DeMeco Ryan is saying on 4th and short, I'm not going to go and take the field goal that makes it a one field goal game. No,
Yes.
On 4th and short, inside of your 5, I'm going for it because I believe in my offense. I've got better players.
my quarterback.
I got better players than you do on your defense, no matter who your defense is. I believe in my offense. I haven't seen a lot of coaches willing to do that one. That's not even in the new fourth down area when everyone's looking at Antonio Pierce in that Chargers game and saying, "What are you doing? 4th and short on their 43-yard line. You do not punt there. You just punted away the game." That's not how we're playing football anymore. DeMeco Ryan is pressing the gas on, no, my skill players are better than your guys.
I was really impressed with the game last night. I think both those teams have a chance to be good. I know Safford made a really bad throw that made me think that he just lost the defender in the cover 2 because of the uniform that he was wearing and how well he blended into the background and end zone.
But both teams good, yes.
Both teams are good. It's really cool to see Detroit actually mattering and the way that they won that game, physically imposing
all running plays in overtime,
emulating the style that their coach is trying to preach. They had no answer. It's just, we're going to knock you back 5 yards at a time. You're not going to tackle Montgomery. It was really impressive. I'm looking forward to tonight to see what we got in the Jets, but also it's everyone just assumes San Francisco's going to be here. They had a tumultuous offseason, but those guys are back. Williams is healthy. I'm looking to the NFC now to actually push the AFC champion, although I do think Cincinnati will figure it out, and then come November, they'll be everybody's darling again.
Just back to the Dolphins for a second, because we tend to focus on Tua and on Tyreek Hill and on Jalen Waddle. That defense, they shut the Jaguars out in the second half of that game. And the play by Javon Holland on Travis Etienne.
Great.
That not giving up on the play, forcing the fumble, they recover it, and then the Dolphins come all the way back. Their defense, because a lot of people talked about it, you want to sign Tua, you lose Christian Wilkins. That defense was fantastic yesterday.
Jacksonville fell apart at the end. And if this had been not another Florida team, I would have said they got tired in the heat because it's totally unreasonable. I would have said that D-line for the Dolphins just ravaged an offensive line that is gassed at the end of the game. But it ain't any hotter here than it is in Jacksonville.
Oh, no.
Because at the end of the game, Jacksonville didn't have anything left. So let's go out to Tony.
Let's go out to this heat.
Yes, Tony is sweating right now. He is that Wynwood? That is yes, outside of
I like him.
that is a mural. You do like it when Tony is all sweaty. We're going to do Tony's top 5 here to get as much football analysis as we can here. Tony, tonight you're going to be doing that all season, correct? On Sunday night, Tony Night Live is what you're going to be doing after football games this season.
There's a lot of Dan. There's a lot of things that that bear my name on it. This one is Sunday Night Live, which will be going live after the 4:00 games. To recap all of the day's events in the NFL. But I've been told I can't actually step on the sidewalk because of some issues with permits and whatnot, so I'm going to be doing it from the street. I got my security guard right here. He's waiting for me. You want to pan over? Say what's up to my boy real quick.
All right, but this is all fresh. Okay, this is all fresh stuff, though, right, Tony? This doesn't come from Tony Sunday Night, Tony Live, right? This is just is all fresh stuff. Okay, let's see. Do we have OLI or just top 5?
We have. Oh, of course we've got OLI, Dan. It's week 1 of the NFL season. What am I going to come in with only top 5s? You're crazy. We got 4 OLIs to start. As usual, the Tony's Top 5 is presented by the haters. We love them. We appreciate them for making this happen every single week. OLI number 1, Dak quietly got the biggest bag in NFL history, and it wasn't even the biggest story of the day.
Was it quietly he got the biggest bag?
It's quiet, yeah.
Yeah, it's quiet when it has to happen in the middle before you go out to a reporter in Miami Gardens. It happened very quietly because of Schefter's day.
Did you guys see that, Danny? Pan up really quick. Did you guys see that just pass by?
What happened? What's up there?
Oh, wow. Did you see what just flew by? It was Jamar Chase's leverage in contract negotiations with the Bengals this season. It just flew by. I can't believe it.
Okay, so you think
you're playing a game that you lose 16-10.
Okay. Yes.
Ugh. Yeah. Not good. Just flew by. You got to sit that one out if you're Jamar Chase.
He can still sit out if he wants, though. You know, he can still do that.
Nah, the damage is done, Stugotz.
Okay.
All right. OLI number 3. The masterpiece is done. It's a Bishop to Rook 9. It's the Queen's Gambit. It's over. Kendrick Lamar headlines Super Bowl halftime show, ending Drake once and for all, guys. I'm sorry to report, it's over. It's officially over.
That has to be true, right? Because he's gonna is he gonna do Not Like Us during the halftime to bury Drake?
Of course.
Yeah. But he's not actually done. Dan. No one stopped streaming Drake. He's still putting up major numbers. It's
but
just
the fight is over.
Yeah, it's long since been over, but not that it matters. Like, people that were Drake fans didn't cease being Drake fans. They just ceased being loud about it.
Drake definitely threw the phone down when he saw the tweet and the Instagram post.
Oh, come on! Come on!
That has to suck. First week of the NFL season,
yeah, but
it's like, come on.
It happened on a good day, though, like the Dak news. It was kind of just buried by the best player in the NFL, voted by the peers, getting arrested.
What are the odds he brings Drake out during the performance?
Not high right now. If you
0.
It means 0. Squashing of the beef. I mean,
Last OLI, boys. Sam Darnold?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, he's right about that.
Because he
Sam
started
Darnold.
12 for 12?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You put it in the form of a question, which I think is fair.
Yeah, I said he's right.
It's
There's
just
2 question marks at the end of that, by the way.
wait a minute. 2 question marks? It's so Justin Jefferson is going to make Sam Darnold a good quarterback now? That's what's going to happen?
It's gonna be enough for me to go Sam Darnold.
Yeah. It could be the Giants that made him a good quarterback, too.
I mean, the Giants.
We'll see,
Can you guys
Mike.
look up for me what the Giants are since starting 6-1 and Brian Daboll went on God Bless Football as the Daniel
I
Jones
looked it up.
fixer?
What a time.
I looked it up.
They're ass, Dan.
Yeah, they are in deep.
Okay, so it's 1 and deep
Yep.
since being 6-1. All right, go ahead, Tony. Number 5.
All right, number 5, Giants, Panthers, Raiders. My God, Pot's going to be a long season.
Yeah, all of those are going to be. So were there more bad teams revealed yesterday than good ones? Like bad teams, you can
Yes.
end their season. That's not going to happen. That's not going to go anywhere. No chance of winning anything.
Giants, Panthers, and Raiders, it's over. Like, let's talk next season. That might be 1, 2, 3 for the draft next season. I might have just revealed it.
In the first half, I was willing to say Chargers, your season's over.
Yeah.
I was
pulled it together. Yeah.
Without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I'm like, wait a minute, is that what that's going to look like all year?
Constipated.
1-0.
All right, number 4. Yeah, he's only played 18 games since high school. But did you see Anthony Richardson throw a 70-yard bomb off his back foot in a muddy
reaction.
pocket, Dan?
Yeah,
This
he's
is
the best.
a muddy
Special.
It was on turf.
Muddied pocket, that's right. That's when that first defensive tackle and you got to move up a little bit, you got to move back.
70 yards
the
off
end's
his back
pushing the
foot.
left tackle against you. Special.
Okay, you guys are doing special.
Missed a wheel route wide open in the end zone.
You guys.
Also
Don't worry
special.
about that, Mike. Don't worry about that, Mike.
We're really
Focus
going
on-
to do this
focus on
with
what we're
one
talking
throw.
about.
You know what?
Dan, you love guys
wasn't
pushing it
one.
down the field. It's C.J. Stroud going deep. It's Richardson going deeper.
What I love is Mrs. Wide Open guys, but however, and this part's important, did I just see someone who's got a bigger arm than Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes? Like, that's what happened there. One throw off the back foot, 70 yards. I don't care if he's good or not. Did I just see a bigger arm than Josh Allen and Mahomes?
Bingo, Dan. Now you are certified in quarterback love right there. That's what we like to do around here. Number 3. Wow, this one's heavy. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. You've noticed that quote from Oppenheimer that he took from the Bhagavad Gita.
Of course.
Well
Arthur
said.
Blank. Arthur Blank has put together 2 chemicals that are never supposed to be together, and he thought that it was going to work. Kirk Cousins, Atlanta Falcons. This can only end one way, Dan. Terribly. Terribly.
That was a terrible start. A whole lot of people are telling me the Falcons are going to run away with that division just because Kirk Cousins is there, and that didn't look like that yesterday. Number 2.
Bro, do you not know what Tyreek Hill and Calais Campbell look like? All you guys, none of you could be like, damn, I think this is Tyreek Hill. Oh, the guy who's 6'8", 325 pounds. That might be a football player. Huh. Interesting.
Number 1, you got something better than that? You got something. Those are your Jags, your alleged Jags. You've been on the Jags for 3 years, Tony.
Tough second half there. We'll bounce back. Duval County, stand up. Number 1, Dan. He can still be a decent QB going forward, but the dream is dead. I didn't have to squint to see him on his knees doing a surrender cobra while former Kane Tyreek Stevenson is running the other way for a 43-yard pick six to seal the game. I'm embarrassed. I don't know if we can put that up there, the surrender cobra that Will Levis did on his
Will
knees.
Levis. It's a terrible
while Tyreek
play.
Stevenson.
It's so bad. You need that quarterback to win you the game there against the Bears. The Bears have no business winning that game, and the only way they win the game, pick six, underhand. Will Levis defeated. Mayo commercials, not quite as sensual and sexy when that's how the game is ending, because that was terrible. All right, thank you, Tony.
I didn't need to squint to see that one, Dan.
How sweaty are you right now? It's very humid out there. It's swampy out there. Yeah, there it is.
As you can see, más calor de coño su madre.
Eso sí, I was all weekend. I felt like somebody was pouring olive oil on me because it is so swampy all over Miami. Thank you, Tone. We appreciate it. He had to get in. Everyone's got football opinions today. Lucy had football opinions today. What about the other football? What about Alex Morgan? Are we going to celebrate her? Or does football win everything and there's no talking about anything else other than football after week one?
One of the game's all-time greats, one of the greatest soccer products this nation has ever put out. And yes, we should honor Alex Morgan, who retired, had a retirement match, and it was covered by the worldwide leader in epic fashion by outsourcing it to AI, in which the article did not mention her at all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and they're doing this a lot, and they're celebrating themselves. They're putting out really poorly worded tweets celebrating the fact that, hey, all the coverage that we could staff as a worldwide leader against with a person that could actually give you your lacrosse news, it's now AI. And when it comes to one of the greatest soccer players this nation's ever produced, we will write an article outsourced to AI, and it'll ignore the actual reason everybody's there watching that game.
Wait a minute, though. What's happening here?
Everyone's mailing it in, Dano.
Well, but Stugotz, a lot of people are being paid $18 and $20 million a year to cut corners on that one. We're already there. We're already at can't cover things correctly or respectfully in print because we're paying a bunch of people $18 and $20 million to just give hot takes on television. Like that seems
that seems to be more important in this day and age.
Okay, but
though.
that seems kind of fast to get there. That seems a little disrespectful in 2024 to celebrations that are. Look, Stugotz, it seems fairly obvious. Okay, that in retrospect, we can all look at what's happening in the WNBA and say, man, we made that all a little more difficult on women than we had to in terms of what they had to climb over to get to equality. And a lot of us in male-dominated power structures, and I say us meaningfully there, all sorts of blind spots, made it a little harder on women than we needed to. Alex Morgan probably deserves slightly more respect than that on a football Sunday, that we're going to just bury everything that's happening over there and not even giving it the courtesy of a human being writing the story because journalism has been thrown so far out the door and artificial intelligence has made it so that all of the hedge funds can figure out how to make money on efficiencies here. Having a human reporter write about something meaningful, we can't be already there in 2024.
We've been there. We've been there with the fringe sports. I know it's a disrespect to Alex Morgan. It's a very high disrespect to Alex Morgan. All in all, I thought it was a good weekend for ESPN, but this is something that's been brewing out in the peripheries of the main big three sports here in this country. ESPN has made it known that they're going to be doing this, and with Alex Morgan, you have a poorly written AI article that doesn't even mention Alex Morgan. By the way, the keeper on the penalty kick, you got to let that one go in.
But Alex is being showered with praise from the people that she cares about, like her peers, the people who played, people who love soccer. I do wonder, I'm not saying you guys are wrong because you're not. She deserves to have a journalist come and write the story of Alex Morgan. She is certainly deserving of that. But do you think she cares? Like, do you think she's sitting there going, hey, they didn't cover the ending correctly?
I don't look. I have failed instead of talking about her and her career, I'm talking about an easy side angle, something that is about AI and journalism and is about the coverage of the coverage and the coverage lacking certain weight. I am telling you that I have been behind here. I often do this as well with women's sports because I have not done a good job of covering this and evolving with the times. And it's super easy to be on a high horse sanctimoniously pointing over here and saying, why don't you do this better when I myself haven't done it well? It feels a bit like Katie Nolan and us criticizing Tom Brady's broadcast. And while I just sliced an S off of D'Amico Ryans' name while criticizing Tom Brady, the critic always gets to win here with a certain lack of self-awareness. But that team and that woman are real life pioneers on being at the total forefront of where it is that they've been screaming, hey, female excellence over here Over here, it's worth a lot. How about equal pay? How about, televising our sports with the same respect that you televise other excellence? How about we don't make Brittany Griner not have to be able to get a salary here, so she has to go get one in Russia and end up in jail? I just don't think very often in modern times we are thinking about who are the real pioneers in sports, because we've lived in their era watching them fight for every morsel, while men's soccer lags woefully behind the excellence that these women were putting together for how many years? 15 years?
This story is at the cross-section of two big stories. I'd like to isolate the fact that Alex Morgan has done more than enough. What else would you like Alex Morgan to do to get some notoriety on a football Monday to celebrate what was an illustrious career with a lot of trophies and a lot of success and a lot of fandom? So thank you, Alex Morgan. But ESPN, we all saw this coming with artificial intelligence, and you've just caught up in your intentions, which is to save money, and you want to celebrate the fact that, hey, now we can actually give these sports coverage, whereas before we wouldn't even write an article about lacrosse or women's soccer. Now we have this garbage article that's churned out by artificial intelligence. You end up insulting people even more if you're going to outsource a legend stepping away from the game. If you're going to outsource that to AI, and it's going to be the laziest AI ever that can't even frame the narrative correctly, that's a real bad job, and hopefully you do something to correct it, like maybe staff a human being.
I agree with all of that, but if you're a legend, you need to retire right in the middle of baseball season for max coverage.
I have what I think is a roller coaster of a story to share with you guys, because I was at a casino a couple weeks ago, and I, in the span of 10 seconds, almost killed and then saved the life of an old person.
Wow.
An old person.
So this person would have died if you didn't save their life.
But also would have died if you had killed them.
I tried to have an interaction with this person. Let me just tell this story.
How old is this person?
I didn't ask.
Is it a brittle person?
It was someone in their, I'd say, at least late 60s, maybe early 70s.
So your dad's
around
age.
my dad's age,
But
looking older actually.
But your dad's not brittle. Your dad's thick. Your dad.
He is,
right.
yeah.
No, you know what? I might be wrong. This person looked older than my dad. So let's say they were in their mid-70s.
The casino, though, is filled with a certain kind of frail person who's been going to casinos, smoking cigarettes, playing the slots for 20 years. You have to be very careful about who you knock over. How did you almost kill an old person?
So, these chairs that are in front of slot machines are like heavy chairs. They're not just like chairs you can easily move, but they are movable. It's like a weird thing where they're really heavy, but you can move them.
Right.
So I'm walking just through the casino, and this old guy kind of like almost backs into me because he's taking this chair inexplicably. He's taking this like heavy chair, and it's seeming like I'm gonna move this. And this like old man is like. Is
he getting it off the ground, or is he dragging it?
He's getting it just off the ground, like a couple steps. So he's it looks like he's trying to move this from one slot machine. Maybe it's his lucky chair.
Okay, and you're seeing this, and you're thinking, hey, he shouldn't be doing that. I should help him out.
And no. Right. I go for the one-line joke. As I'm walking by, I go, hey, didn't know you were allowed to take those home.
Right.
Implying that he's leaving with the chair.
He's trying to steal a heavy chair.
Right, it was just a joke because he would never steal that. So but I startled the shit out of him.
Huh.
So now this old man carrying a heavy chair, like, gets startled by my terrible joke.
Right.
And it literally, and then he starts to, like, fall back, and it's, like, this slow motion now. It's kind of like in Vegas when Tony had to catch Wayne Newton from falling.
Right.
It was kind of like this, where Wayne Newton started to fall, and I, like, pointed at him, and Tony, like, saved Wayne Newton's life. That's something that will be told if there was ever like a book written on this show.
Right.
Wayne Newton almost died on that stage.
He did. So the guy was falling back with a chair, and then what'd you do?
Well, and then I caught him.
Oh, you really?
Well, you jostled, for the record.
What?
Yeah, because he was indeed stealing a heavy chair, and you had caught him in mid-action, and he got so startled that you almost, with your accusation, made him fall over, and would have if you hadn't been there to save him from falling over.
And because the weight of the chair was so heavy, his fall back was very slow. So I had time to like, oh shit, I almost just killed that guy, take a couple steps to my left, and I literally caught him. So I almost killed this old man.
I was going to say the quickness, man, because you're in front of him when you're making the joke. You're behind him when you have to save him.
And as I'm walking away, with my wife, I'm just like, that joke was unnecessary by me. All of it unnecessary. Like, like as if the guy was going to be like, I am stealing this thing. Because it'd be a ridiculous thing to steal.
It's like a 2G&T joke.
It was just, I felt bad about the whole thing, but we had a nice interaction.
But
He
you
was a
shouldn't
nice
feel
man.
bad. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't feel bad about that.
He almost killed someone.
Yeah, okay.
With a bad joke.
Okay.
I didn't know you could take those things. Because as if, like,
we get it.
casinos, they
We
just
got
give
it.
them away.
Look, I understand.
This is somehow your dad's
Hold
fault.
on. Walk me through the joke again.
I was implying that he was stealing the chair when he was really just moving it. I was just like, hey, I didn't know you were allowed to take those things. But and it startled him, and he almost died.
And where was he?
He was like to my left, like moving the chair.
And where were you?
I was like on the hall, like like the little like walkways. There's like the carpets or where the slots are.
Why are you asking these questions, Billy?
I'm just trying to get to the specifics of this.
Well, it sounds like you weren't listening to the original parts
Well,
of
it
the story.
sounds like he's doubting the story.
That's kind of how it's landing, bro.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Just
I'm
catching
trying
up,
to
Billy.
understand this and see if this joke was.
Oh, no.
Again?
Penalty, 2 minutes for ruining comedy.
I mean,
can't defend you on
you're
that
asking questions that are like that make it seem like you
Follow-up.
just got here and missed the first part of the story.
Undisciplined.
I felt like it was
But
lagging a bit. You know?
There are follow-ups that I already asked, though.
The reason that this isn't a terrible.
I'm sorry, because you've never asked something that's
I
been
said
asked
this is
before.
the one time I can't defend you. That's it.
The reason that this
Love
is
you.
something that you should embrace, Chris Cody, is while it was a bad and unnecessary joke, and you can claim that it's not funny, how many people ever get to say, I made a joke and almost killed a man because he was so startled by my joke, not by how funny it was.
That's a way of finding the positive.
And then saved him.
And then saved him and made yourself your own hero. So basically, you're the person who set fire to the home, and it was already just a barn filled with shit, and then you put out the fire. Now you're celebrating yourself because there's fiery shit all over the place, but nobody died.
And then I'm just walking away saying none of that was necessary.
But he's still an arsonist.
Yes, that is correct. An arsonist around comedy.
I think that's kind of how your dad wants to go out.
Speaking
Reacting to a bad dad joke. That's kind of like Fat Man Scoop. His last words were "make some noise." I think if your dad either had a hand in someone dying or is the one dying as a result of a bad joke, I think you'd say that's kind of how I want to go out. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of a mountain of fiery shit, how about the Colorado Buffaloes?
Oh, boy.
This is going real poorly in year 2, real poorly. And I want to focus on the quarterback that has huge NFL prospects. Shedeur Sanders is supremely talented. He made a bad interception. I was listening to Greg McElroy's podcast, and he says, yeah, it's a bad offensive line, but Shedeur is holding the ball a little too long, which is something that could be said for him last season. By the way, Colt McCoy is very happy with all the Tom Brady reaction because Colt McCoy,
He's good.
he got hammered on social media, destroyed on social media for being the opposite of that, Stugotz.
Why'd you go good there, Stugotz?
I enjoyed Colt McCoy. I thought he was decent.
He is
That's
getting
all. Wasn't expecting much.
Universally panned for his performance on NBC. But I think Shedeur tries to really have some highlight reel tape on the field. But I think he needs to pay attention to what other franchises are paying attention to because, yeah, you're auditioning on the field for your next job, but also in the press and how you handle adversity, you're also auditioning, and he failed this test with this clip.
I mean, how many times did Raul get touched? How many times did Raul get touched? There was able, like, of course, whenever you're able to run the ball consistently and whenever you're able to, then that opens up the pass, you know? But it's just like you got to understand, like, what your team good at. So it's like, why would we keep running the ball if, okay, we out there and we get in a situation where it's a must get and we don't get it?
Right. Are those kind of 4th and 1 conversions that haven't gone your guys' way in the last couple of
So how many times did Raiola get touched? Raiola, the 5-star true freshman starting quarterback for Nebraska, that seems to be headed in the right direction.
Who looks just like Patrick Mahomes.
Acts like him.
So Shedeur also left the field with 2 minutes left. Deion Sanders' father and head coach said he was leaving to get treatment, but just bad looks all around. And we're only in week 2. They have a rivalry game against Colorado State that pushed them to the brink last year. Shedeur needs to get blocked by these guys. And once again, this is not the first time that he's taken the opportunity to criticize his offensive line with the media around. And that's stuff that the NFL looks at too.
How about he criticizes dad? It's his job to get the offensive line, is it not?
What did you say? It
Criticize
sounded
his dad.
It sounded like
Listen,
his dad.
That is me at the end of the day slurring my words. I think God bless football. I'm cranking up the excuse machine. But seriously, why is he criticizing the offensive line and not his father?
I can't
Is
believe
it not his father's job?
I can't believe the son of Deion Sanders would be self-involved.